Welcome to the City of Boynton Beach City Commission meeting today, Tuesday, October 5th, 2021. May I please have a roll call? I'm not hearing Crystal.
Mayor Stephen B. Grant,
Present.
Vice Mayor Woodrow Hay,
Present.
Commissioner Justin Katz, Commissioner Christina Romulus,
Present.
Commissioner Typhon Serga.
Present.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
All right. And Crystal, would you please state my reason of not being there and have so that I may ask the commission to approve my attendance virtually? Okay, I'll state. I let the city clerk know that I am attending the Florida Public Pension Trustees Association in Ponte Vedra Beach for their fall continuing education. And so that is why I am unable to attend tonight's meeting. So I would request a motion to accept my attendance virtually.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and properly. All those in favor, state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Now I'll ask everyone to please rise for an invocation by Lori Durgan, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Romulus.
Let us pray. Loving Creator, we thank you for all the blessings of life, for family, friends, work, food, nature, hope, love, peace. With grateful hearts, we thank you for the countless helpful people in our city, those who nurse and doctor, police and protect, those who teach our children, serve each one of us, that our daily lives may be blessed. Help us all to remember that peace on earth begins in our own hearts, in our own homes, our neighborhoods, our places of work, our streets, and in rooms just like this. May this room be blessed. Help us, God, to always remember that we are all your trusted servants, and to be aware of the needs of others and how we can each make the world a better place. Amen.
Amen.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Moving on to agenda approval, any additions, deletions, or corrections? The only thing that I'd like to add is a 12C under legal, an update from the Town Square lawsuit. Where is that going on, or any monthly update from JKM?
Mayor just received one last night, so it will be on the next agenda,
Okay.
October 19.
Okay, thank you.
And
So
Mayor, we have an announcement to add regarding the job fair. I think John Durgan is prepared to add, if you would add that to the agenda.
Oh, wonderful. We'll put that as 3F.
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All right. Seeing no further comments, all those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to informational items by members of the City Commission. Commissioner Katz, would you like to begin?
Thank you. Nothing to disclose at this time.
All right. Commissioner Romulus.
I have nothing to disclose. Thank you, Mayor.
Commissioner Penserga.
I have nothing to disclose, but I do want to commend staff for a wonderful First Friday event. I was there, and I was actually touring the area with some friends from another city, and they just could not stop talking about what we've created here. It is a very different feel from Delray. It's very distinct from Delray and West Palm. It's very family friendly and homey, and I just couldn't be happier. So thank you to everybody who was part of that. It was a great event.
All right. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, I'd like to report that I did attend Thursday's Feeding South Florida again, and great turnout. Also attended this past Friday, I believe it was, the Lance Cheney renaming of Northeast 9th Avenue in his honor. He was the past pastor of St. John Missionary Baptist Church. And I also attended the First Friday. I'm looking forward to the other amphitheater being completed so that we can have alternate sites to have this, so that we can bring the city together as a whole. So I envision that being a opportunity to have some jazz, has some rhythm and blues or whatever, different types of music at the two parks. And I think it'll be a drawing card to many, many people. Thank you.
All right. As for myself, on September 22nd, I had breakfast with the Litter Hikers of America. If you wake up early on a Monday or a Thursday, you might see them walking on Federal Highway, picking up all the litter. It's the amazing comment that, it seems that even though we do it twice a week, there's still as much trash each day. And one of the comments that they had was to see if we can't put an educational piece in our town square regarding all the different types of recyclables, whether that's glass, plastic, metals, organics, paper, and just regular litter, so that we can help educate the people that are coming to the city of all the different trash and recyclables that we have, that we can dispose of in the proper way. On the 23rd, I attended a conference for the Florida Association of Latino Administrators for Hispanic Heritage Month. Also, it was the Jewish holiday of Sukkot, where we celebrate nature by eating outside in the harvest. On September 24th, I was panelist for Human Rights Media in regards to Afghanistan. On October 1st, I met with our city officials for the county's 5-year program, and the main comment that I'd like to reiterate to the commission is the underwhelming amount of money the county is spending for transportation improvement in the city. There is nothing going on for sidewalks, bike lanes, and very limited to help improve transportation within the city limits. In addition, I also on October 2nd attended the Pathways to Prosperity's Reverend Lance Cheney Boulevard unveiling, and I'm very pleased that we are renaming some of our numbered streets. It was part of what the city did way back, I believe in the 60s. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, Vice Mayor. But there was wonderful street names, and that is actually a way to add value to the city without changing much. And last, I want to wish everyone, breast cancer survivors, a happy or memorable Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm wearing my pink tie. I know that our First Lady of Florida was just recently diagnosed, and so I'll be praying for her speedy recovery. And that is it for me. Is there any other items informational items before we move on to announcements?
Mayor, only to add to your prayers as well to our First Lady of Florida.
Thank you. Okay, our first announcement is from Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections, Wendy Link, to provide information on polling place safety precautions due to COVID-19 and the ballot format for the March 2022 election.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me here. Also want to, for those of you who may have passed them as you came in, I have Layla Basili and Kim Rayner, both from our outreach department, are out in the lobby ready to provide to you any demonstration on our ballot equipment that we were asked to bring. So please stop by and see them. I think they're going to be there for another 10 or 15 minutes if you have a moment just to walk out, because they did bring the equipment as requested. But in terms of polling place safety, one of the things that we'll be focused on, of course, is following any CDC guidelines. As we go into, we have a special election that's in November, also in January. So the county currently still has a mask mandate, and we'll be following all the CDC guidelines and all of the precautions that we took in November with plexiglass shields between the poll workers and the voters, also providing gloves, any hand sanitizer, wiping down all of the equipment and the polling location after each voter. And we'll offer masks and gloves to the voters as well. And we have new boxes to clean the stylus between each voter as well. So we'll have all of those safety precautions. We'll continue those as long as we're, as is necessary because of COVID. It's hard to know at this point in March whether or not the county will have the mask mandate, but if they do, of course, we'll honor that. So those are our plans as they exist for March to just continue doing whatever the CDC requires. As for ballot format, I'm not sure if there's any specific questions that you would have, but we will continue for any of the municipalities that have an election in March. Of course, we will do all of that. There have been some questions. Some of the municipalities have asked us to act as their supervisor. And I don't know if Boynton has made that request or not. But for those that do, the city clerk does continue to be the qualifying officer no matter what, because each municipality has their own form of charter. And so what are your rules are, of course, what's going to govern that. But then to the extent that we're doing ballot opening, ballot duplicating, ballot tabulating, then you don't have to have somebody from a canvassing board there all the times we're doing that, because I'd be able to act on your behalf. And then the county canvassing board is happy to gather to meet for those who wish us to serve as their canvassing board. It's completely up to each municipality. We're only offering it because a number of them asked us if we would consider doing that. So we're happy to provide that service at no cost to you. So it does not cost you any more for us to do it, because the truth is I'm there anyway. So we're happy to do that should you like us to do that. And if not, there's no problem. You can continue. You may have your own canvassing board. We'll make space for you to do whatever you need to do as a canvassing board. And then we'll just require that, we'll let you know every time we're going to tabulate, open, or duplicate, so that you can be sure you're going to have a member of your canvassing board there. So I don't know if there were any other questions you had regarding that.
Wendy, this is Vice Mayor Hay. So what I hear you saying, is that we will have no additional, nor will we be closing any particular precincts as it stands from the previous time.
At this moment, that is true. We don't, what we'll have to wait to see now, that would be for March, because we will not have, we'll just be getting our census data and the new lines probably in March, and hopefully being able to do all the precincts in April, because of course every 10 years we have the redistricting, and normally the census data is out sooner, and we would have had a lot of the lines back already. Usually we get our first set of redistricting lines in August, but obviously that hasn't yet occurred. So as soon as we get those from all of the different groups, we'll be doing the overlays and then setting out the new precincts. And so at that point, depending upon what the new lines are for all the various races and offices, then we'll have to make that determination. But that won't be the case for this March.
Thank you.
Okay.
Supervisor Link, hello. This is Commissioner. I have a slightly different question. And, one of the concerns that everybody had in March of 2020 was the onset of the pandemic. And We didn't have a lot of poll workers coming in. Has that been rectified? Is there a backup plan? Should there be another spike? Is there a new recruiting campaign?
Well, we certainly are continuing to recruit. Now, that was a bigger election because it was also a PPP. So it required, that was a countywide election, so it required a lot more. This election would only be for the municipalities. There won't be a PPP associated, so it'll require fewer poll workers. And I think hopefully now we're in the position that as people sign up to be poll workers, what we had different then was it was so new to everybody. So we had a lot of people who went through the training, did everything, and even confirmed as recently as Monday, the day before the election, that they would be there, and then still had over 900, and I think it was 976 that confirmed on Monday, didn't show up on Tuesday. So, but I think a lot of that was people were scared. They didn't know. All of a sudden they're afraid to tell somebody they weren't going to show up. I think it was very, very new then. I think people now who are choosing to be poll workers and to understand the polling place safety precautions that we have in place, I think are going to not sign up in the first place if it's something they're not comfortable with. So we have a little more confidence that we'll have those who signed up. And then we are heavily recruiting to have a number of backups as well. We have to balance that with, of course, anybody that you recruit, you've got to pay, and the cities, of course, want to be very careful. So it's up to each city because the cities are paying for those poll workers. We get guidance from you as to how many standbys and backups you'd like us to have for you.
Thank you for that, and thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
All right. If there's no other comments, I appreciate your time here, Wendy.
Sure. Yeah, anything that we can do, please don't hesitate to call on us. And like I said, we have Kim and Layla out front, I believe in your lobby. And because it was requested, we bring the equipment. So I think we have a touch screen, the ballot marking device, which is, it's a touch screen, but only is to mark your ballot. It is not a tabulator because, of course, in Florida, we are a paper ballot state. So we will have paper ballots always, even in using that equipment. But that is something that just for you to know that we are testing in the CD20 race, where all of our early voting will be done using the Express Vote, which is that ballot marking device. A lot of really great things that go with it. And so that if it goes as well as we expect, you may see that in March. Well, you don't have early voting, so it would be in August. It would be probably the next time you would see it. But it speeds the lines up a lot. It's a lot less expensive. It does not allow you to overvote. So you don't have the potential of people's votes not counting. And it also has no questions in terms of voter intent, because there's not any stray marks or any questionable marks because it's printed out. So you don't have to worry that the canvassing board is making a determination as to what that voter's intent was, because it's very clear. So I think there's a lot of benefits to it. And so we're anxious to see what the voters think when we bring it out in CD20.
All right. And, it's not for me this time, but I want to thank all of your office in regards to the candidate petitions, the turnaround time. I know that we have a good amount of candidates for the upcoming election. And so I just want to thank you in advance to making sure that all of those are checked and returned to the candidates.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much. And again, if there's ever anything we can do for you, please don't hesitate to call on us.
All right. Thank you. Our next announcement is from the Palm Beach County School District and the Education Foundation of Palm Beach County, which will provide an update to the City Commission on the Digital Inclusion Program.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Adam Miller. I am the Assistant Superintendent for Performance Accountability for the School District of Palm Beach County. And as the Mayor said, we are here to provide an update on the Digital Inclusion Program. I have a few co-presenters here with me. I have Mrs. Erica Whitfield, your school board member. We have Mr. Mike Butler, the Director of Internet Services for the county, and James Gavrilos, the CEO and President of the Education Foundation of Palm Beach County. It's great to see everyone. We were last here in August of 2020. That seemed like a very long time ago with the pandemic, but we're very excited to provide you updates. We're going to give you a review of the overall project. We're going to talk about fundraising to date. Thank you guys for your work, and then provide an update on the Wi-Fi mesh network in your city. Before we begin, I would like to send this over to Mrs. Whitfield for some opening remarks.
Thank you so much. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, wonderful. Well, first of all, I just want to say a huge thank you for your continued support of this project. This digital Wi-Fi has just meant so much to our communities. Really, the area that we are talking about, the urban core of Palm Beach County, has really needed this project for many years, and it's one of the blessings that we have seen through this COVID pandemic has been the opportunity for us to provide these projects. And it's through partners like you all at the City of Boynton Beach with your incredibly generous donation to provide for the extenders for our students that we're able to do projects like this. So I want to just say a huge thank you to everyone in Boynton for supporting this project. We will be able to provide all of our children in the area with the ability to get on Wi-Fi due to your generous donation. Also, the Education Foundation for being a constant partner with us, and thank you so much to them. To Mike Butler at the county, we give him lots of kudos, but he is really the architect behind all of this. And as always, our own Adam Miller, who's there with y'all tonight. Just such a pleasure to have him working for us and doing this work that I think is so valuable. That's why I wanted to come tonight, just to say thank you to the commissioners and the vice mayor and the mayor for your work and for caring so much about this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Whitfield. If we can go to the next slide, please. Great. The Digital Inclusion Project is a review. Really, our mission is to grant all students, regardless of zip code, access to reliable internet service in their neighborhoods. As Mrs. Whitfield said, this is needed. We've called this problem the digital divide for many, many years. And we've been very aware of it, but the pandemic brought this out to the forefront of everyone's minds, and we were able to get a lot of traction and get this work moving, and we're very excited about that. This Digital Inclusion Project is a partnership between the school district, the county, and the Education Foundation. If you could go to the next slide, please. So here we're going to jump into the review. If you could go into the next slide. So this project is taking a long time, as it was meant to be. So in the meantime, I just want to assure the City of Boynton Beach and the public that the school district is not leaving our students high and dry without support. Thanks to Mrs. Whitfield and the other school board members. Last school year, we provided internet sponsorships and hotspots to any students that needed it. This year, again, thanks to our school board, we have again provided these 2 mobile hotspots on Comcast Internet Essentials for free to families in need. So those will stay in place until this Wi-Fi network is up and running. Next slide, please. So now we get to our long-term solution. What is this Wi-Fi mesh coverage? Again, it's been a year, so I want to review it with you. So if we go to the next slide. So what is the Wi-Fi mesh? So creating the Wi-Fi mesh, if you follow me from the top left of this graphic, the first part is laying fiber optic cable to school district buildings as well as county and city buildings. That fiber optic cable will carry the signal. To the middle of the slide, you see that we're connecting fiber to the root radios. These are really big radios. They're about as tall as I am. They go on school district monopoles, county buildings, city buildings if you allow, and they send out a very strong signal for Wi-Fi. This is not 5G. This is all Wi-Fi technology. Those root radios send a signal out to these smaller mesh radios. On the right side of the slide, you see a close-up view of a mesh radio on top of a pole. Those mesh radios grab the signal from the root radios and help extend it out into the neighborhoods. Once the fiber optic cable is all running, the root radios and the mesh radios are all up and running, we get this invisible Wi-Fi mesh that you see represented in the bottom left of the slide, much as like you would have a Wi-Fi in your home. It's a similar concept. The last piece of the puzzle is that those two little Wi-Fi extenders you see at the bottom of the screen, you might have some of these in your home. Wi-Fi extenders take internet from one area and kind of project it to another section of your home.
Excuse me.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you. And these Wi-Fi extenders, we need to get into the homes of the families. Oh, sorry.
Alan, can you switch the slides, please? Can you put the presentation slide in the middle and put the interpreter in the top, please? It's very hard to see what they're showing us.
I just texted IT the same thing. I can't see it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Sorry for interrupting. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. So we're talking about the Wi-Fi extenders in the bottom middle of the slide. Wi-Fi extenders, this is what the Education Foundation has been working to fundraise for. Basically, we configure each of these Wi-Fi extenders and place in the home of a family in need. And then that's going to grab the Wi-Fi out in the air in the neighborhood and pull it into the home and project it to all other sections of the home for all the students in the family to enjoy very strong internet inside their home. As you can see on the bottom right side of the slide, that is actually the first family in Palm Beach County to connect with a very strong Wi-Fi in their home. As you can tell, the mother was very happy. The son was less so. He had to do his homework now from home, but that was a big win for us, and we're very excited. So that's kind of the Wi-Fi mesh in a nutshell of how it works and what it would look like. If you could go to the next slide, please. Just a close-up view of the Wi-Fi mesh poles. This is what the poles look like. On the left side, you can see how tall the poles are. On the right side, there's an even closer up image of the actual mesh radio. That's that little shoebox thing on the top of the pole. On the right side, there's a solar panel. On the left side, there's a solar cabinet, which keeps the batteries and other pieces. So basically, most of these mesh radios will be self-sufficient once the pole goes up, and there shouldn't have to be any electric or any other wires going to those poles. Some poles, yes, but most poles, no. Next slide, please. We've learned as we started rolling this out with our work with the county. The county has sent letters to your residents already to the neighborhoods that have been identified. They will be hanging door hangers in certain areas and then putting yard signs where poles will go. We found out this is a really good way to let the community know a pole is going to go in that section. Sometimes there's, might be a disagreement about a pole. There's actually a way to contact us in the county to help resolve any issues. Next slide, please. Just very high level. Over a year ago, when we closed down for the pandemic, our school district did a survey to determine the way, who needed Wi-Fi service and where they lived. And we noticed that this coincided very heavily with the areas that had the highest concentrations of students on free and reduced lunch. So we created this heat map, which shows that, and you can see the red and deep red areas are the main area of focus of the county's building out the Wi-Fi mesh network, although the county has been super gracious in trying to include other areas as much as they can. Next slide, please. So zooming into Boynton Beach, as you can see here, your city limits are represented with the blue line. The county is starting with the red areas. And I know Mr. Butler will be talking in just a few minutes. I know he'll be extending that out into the orange areas. He'll be able to update you. When last we came and spoke to you, that amounted to about 2,300 students would be covered initially with this first pass with the Wi-Fi. And those were students on free and reduced lunch. I'm going to, unless there's any questions on the technical side,
I have one. What exactly are the speeds that you're talking about, and where have you implemented this already, and what is the reaction?
Sure. So Mr. Buller will talk in a few minutes. He can give more specifics on the technical side, but the speed should be around 90, 100 megabits per second. like what my daughters experience at home. That first student we showed in the slide, that is in the Lake Worth area. It's a very, very small area that we got going, and the family was super ecstatic to have that go up. The next area to go live will be a large area within Belgrade. That should be up within the next few weeks. If that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I have a question. This is Commissioner Pinsurga. Could you speak to, one, the security features of this network? Naturally, if it's a wide network and lots of people will be accessing it, I think that's a fair question. The other item is, who can use the network? Will you need a school district email, or will it be more accessible to more families?
So the way we planned this project was that it'd be accessible to families and students that attend the school district of Palm Beach County or the charter schools. For the security section, I mentioned the Wi-Fi extenders had to be configured. Part of that configuration is it's password protected. So a family would need one of these Wi-Fi extenders to connect to the network. It will be a hidden network, so you can't walk around and just try to find it on your phone. You know how you can find all the Wi-Fi networks are available, you won't be able to see it. So it'll be a hidden network and with a hidden SSID, and is password protected, if that answers your question.
Additionally, this is Mike Butler with the county. Additionally, all the traffic is encrypted, and we have a firewall, a cluster of firewalls that sit in between this network and the internet that comply with all the requirements regarding student security.
Thank you for that. What about the long-term plan? Is there any discussion to open this up to other residents? My understanding is that this project is to ultimately, bridge the digital divide, as the saying goes. And that means also giving access to low-income families. And I would hope that means also whether or not they have a child in the school district system. Is this still going to be limited to the school district in the long run, or is there plans to open this up to the broader community?
Our goal is to open it up to the broader community. There are some Florida statute challenges currently standing in the way that we are attempting to work through. And I don't have a good answer for you on the timing at this point in time, but that is the long-term goal.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. If there's no other questions, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Gavrilos to talk about the next 3 slides.
Good evening, commissioners. It's good to see you again. It was wonderful seeing many of you on the September 11th memorial service, which you very well done, and I salute you for that. As many of you discovered, I sing barbershop, so I'm going to sing my presentation tonight in the barbershop close harmony style, if that's okay with you, Dr. Miller. So I think Dr. Miller did an excellent job bringing you up to speed on the project as we laid it out to you last year and where we stand today. As you can see there, we raised just under $1 million for the purchase of those Wi-Fi extenders, roughly 25,000 of them. And I think I speak on behalf of Dr. Miller, the school district, certainly the children who will benefit, and everyone involved in this project, when I thank the city of Boynton Beach for your own commitment to this project, both as a city and as individuals in Boynton Beach. And as I look at this commission, a number of you yourselves made personal donations to this project. And so step one was just getting the funds to get the Wi-Fi extenders purchased. Dr. Miller just alluded to step two, and I apologize if you want to just go ahead and put the next slide up. Or not, that's good too. Dr. Miller alluded a couple of times to these Wi-Fi extenders, their requirement to be configured. Now, the good news, especially for people like me who are not particularly technological, the configuration takes about 4 minutes per extender. It's a simple matter, Michael Butler just said, of, some need to be programmed so that it's protected. I can happily fund variation and shift to what I would say was of this, which is get 25,000 extenders. Our partners down at NC site in Boca Raton stepped up. A number of their employees volunteered. There have been a number of large groups from the Rotary Club of Boca Raton Sunrise who have stepped up. And I take a step back here to say that once again, this project has really captured the imagination of the local and I would say wider business community. I may have shared with many of you as we talked, shortly after Boynton Beach made its commitment, the Miami Dolphins Foundation made a very generous contribution of $100,000 to this project. Well, the Miami Dolphins called us back about a month ago and they said, we want to come and do something else. So there's really, I'm going to talk about a step 2 and then a step 3 of what the Ed Foundation is working on. In addition to another financial contribution the Dolphins are going to make, they are volunteering to configure Wi-Fi extenders. On Monday morning, I'm going to jump in our truck with a couple of pallets of these Wi-Fi extenders, and we're going to drive down to Joe Robbie Stadium. I'm pretty sure I'm showing my age by calling it Joe Robbie Stadium. And the Miami Dolphin players themselves, on their day off, are going to be on the field, spread out, socially distant at tables, under the direction of Dr. Miller and some of the school district IT people who will teach them. And the Miami Dolphins themselves are going to configure these Wi-Fi extenders. They're going to spend about 2 hours and do this. So it's very, very exciting. You know, kind of fun to drive down to Dolphin Stadium. And, you know, Mayor Grant, do you want to be the one to say no to the Miami Dolphins? These are large people. So we're going to go down there and have a good time on Monday. But again, in all seriousness, I think it shows that across the board, both from the business and the philanthropic community, this project just continues to really gain traction and capture some attention. So the second part of what the Ed Foundation has done is to help the district get these Wi-Fi extenders configured properly so they're ready to go out into the hands of the young people. I would then say 3, we received a very generous grant from the Kellogg Foundation. Excuse me. It is to fund the Ed Foundation for 2 years. This is someone very similar to what the school district has with their Wi-Fi warriors, very similar to what our friends at Community Partners have with the community navigators. We will add another one who will go into the neighborhoods and actually teach the families how to use the system. It's much more than just the technical aspect of booting up a computer. It's helping the families get on the school district portal. It's helping the families understand how do you get on your teacher's website to download your children's grades? How do you download their homework assignments? And so this individual, we're going to be advertising the position in the next week, obviously has to be bilingual. That is a requirement. They have to be technologically pretty sharp. That is a requirement. And they have to be willing to spend weekends and evenings going into the homes and working with the families, doing that kind of wraparound stuff. So that's kind of an update on where we are. I repeat, as you see the slide in front of you, none of this would have happened, I think, without the boldness of the city of Boynton Beach. Lori, Mayor Grant, commissioners, you were absolutely first up on this project. You were one of the first municipalities, quite honestly, one of the first organizations who said, we're in. And I think you've seen the result. I mean, with your inspiration, just under $1 million was raised. Now we're in phase 2, where we have a number of community groups configuring the Wi-Fi extenders. And then phase 3 is we'll actually have people going into the neighborhoods, some funded by community partners, some funded by the school district, and then one more position funded by the Education Foundation. So if you're watching the news on Monday night and you see a bunch of very large Dolphin players configuring Wi-Fi extenders, ladies and gentlemen, those are ours, and those will be in the hands of your kids as soon as we get there. I will pause there and ask if there are any questions. Yes,
Can we go to the next slide, though, before we go to questions, just so people can see what the configuring looks like? Thank you.
Yes, Lori.
Mayor. Mike, I think this might be for you. I noticed that when you guys mentioned, I think you've gotten 2,383 extenders.
So here you see the set of procedure. You're next.
You may not hear me.
Nope, Lori, continue.
Okay. Mike, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, I missed the
Yes, I
question.
can. Yes, I can hear
So
you.
if I recall, initially, I think we have probably almost close to 5,000 students, 4,800 students that had been identified on the free and reduced lunch. So this looks like we've gotten to about half of them. What is the timeline on getting the extenders to the remaining population of students in Boynton?
So currently, as Adam mentioned, we're targeting the dark red area in the overlay, and that's probably about half your student population. We are currently in the permitting and the utility locate process for the pole installations, and we are also in the fiber design process. We are hopefully going to be starting the pole installations by mid-November, early December at the latest. That doesn't take very long, barring any complications from, like I said, utility locates and things like that. The fiber installation will follow right behind that, and hopefully we'll be able to get this up, that red section up and running in the first couple of months of 2022. And we are planning to expand into the dark yellow and then the yellow area within, right behind that. We've been waiting on additional funding from the ARP funding, and that is going before the Board of County Commissioners for approval in the first meeting in November, I believe.
Thank you.
And I know you said, by December the polls will go up. What is the anticipated time? Are we looking for next school year to have this fully up and running in Boynton Beach?
For the entire city, I would suggest yes. Next, probably early summer.
Can I just mention too, though, that we are already providing Wi-Fi for these children through other routes until this works. So currently we have the ability to give them a little booster for their house that hotspot is what it's called, for their house, so that they can access the internet until this works. So we are working on that to make sure everyone's covered right now.
Thank you. One of my concerns is that, I know the children don't live alone in those homes. And so it's also making sure the parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters have resources available to them in the city of Boynton Beach. I know that we hopefully are able to use the American Rescue Plan funds for the economic mobility for these individuals and families to help get them to the 21st century with internet ready and access things, because there's a lot of things you can do with a cell phone, but there's a lot of things you can't. And I've been working with the Chevy DTV Foundations. We have done multiple laptop, desktop, tablet giveaways. I do believe they still have some available if the community wants to go to their website and just put in your information, and the next one available will be donated to you. So just want to give a shout out to the Chevy DTV Foundation for providing the laptops and computers for the community.
Yeah, I have a comment.
Yes.
This is Vice Mayor Hay. I really would like to commend school district and the Education Foundation, but just an observation. I just wish that we could have more of a part, the local city. In other words, just being at the table and letting this be more of a, not just a 75,000, but a coordinated effort to work with you, rather than be a two-leg stool, be a three-leg stool. Is there any way that we could get more of at the table during this time of planning and installation? Because like we have all these questions now, we had a liaison. I think that individual or individuals could keep us abreast and informed on what's going on. So it's just something that I think it would work better if we would work together more as a team of three rather than two. Any thoughts on that?
Definitely partnership is always powerful, as the partnership between the school district and the county and the Ed Foundation. We would love to partner with the city of Boynton Beach in other ways. Mr. Gavrilos mentioned, configuring extenders. We've purchased about 25,000 extenders. If the city of Boynton Beach wanted to do a community effort with volunteers to actually configure the extenders that your students will use within the city, we can certainly set that up. As Mr. Gavrilos was talking, we've had a number of businesses come forward and donate their own time to configure the extenders. As Mr. Gavrilos says, takes like 3 or 4 minutes to configure each extender. So 25,000 extenders times 3-4 minutes adds up to a lot of minutes. So that could be one way to partner. As far as with the network itself, I'm going to have to lean on Mr. Butler. I believe he's been talking with the city manager. Mike, you want to add anything over there?
Yeah, I mean, we do work closely with the city departments on the, permitting, right-of-ways, things like that. So each of the municipalities that we're working with, we're installing several thousand poles countywide and probably close to 1,000 miles of new fiber optic cables. So we are working as closely as we can with each of the municipalities, as well as the county planning and zoning and engineering departments, to get this construction done in a timely manner and get all this stuff in place. So hopefully we're working, closely with Boynton. I mean, I know from my team's perspective, I believe we are, but if there's anything additional we can do, please let us know.
And I think Mr. Gavrilos might want to add a few words as well.
Mayor.
There we go. Thank you. I was muted. As many of you know, the offices of the Education Foundation are in Boynton Beach. I am your neighbor, and so I will make an offer. Vice Mayor, I so much appreciate your excitement on the project. If you wanted to do a community project, even some of the city employees or some of your businesses, I will personally bring the extenders down to Boynton. I'll put them in the truck. I'll down right now. We can do configuration. We'll put as with the school district.
You're breaking up.
I think Mr. Gavrilos is breaking up. Yeah, I think he's offering to help you guys and bring down all the extenders. I think it was just going to be his offer.
Yeah, and no, I concur. Like the city commission chambers with the ability to have the desks, the Wi-Fi there would be a perfect location to have 20, 30 of us to help program them if it needs to be programmed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's awesome. I just want to get back, I think, on the slides. I just want to make sure, Mr. Butler, did you, Mike, did you provide all the updates you needed to provide? Because I think then we.
I didn't give the numbers, but we can talk to that certainly if we hop back to the slide.
Keep going. Yeah.
More.
One more. There you go.
Yeah. So that's currently the 27 poles that are in, like I said, utility locates and permitting right now are in the red area of the map. There's 54 additional poles planned for the remainder of the city. One of the things that we've learned throughout this process is once we get the poles in and start testing the radio signal, depending on the density of trees and other greenery in the area, we may have to put in additional poles to supplement the radio signal in certain areas. So those numbers will fluctuate. That's not a final hard number. Once the testing starts, we actually modify it to make sure that we get a good clean signal everywhere. The new fiber installation, it will be starting. I've got 7 crews all over the county out putting fiber in right now, and you're going to start seeing those crews in Boynton probably in the next few weeks here, putting fiber in the ground. We are also, I've been talking to your IT team. We're looking to leverage city facilities and parks to help extend this network. Plus, it has the added bonus of being able to provide Wi-Fi to users of the park, things like that. So we're using county parks, we're using municipal facilities where we can. We're putting antennas on fire stations county fire stations. We'd love to be able to put some on, city facilities as well. So once we get to that point, we'll be reaching back out with specific requests for those type of installations.
Thank you, Mr. Butler. And Lori, you had a question?
Just one last question, Mike. With the ARPA funding we've all received, and obviously broadband can be a big part of that. How do you see this? Boynton Beach, as well as many other cities that I've spoken with, want to do anything we can and participate with our funding as well to make sure we know you guys are really the backbone, I think, of the county in terms of the infrastructure. What that looks like in terms of getting it broadband countywide and that last mile in each of our cities, what we can do to participate, not only financially, but anyhow you need us. I've had what are your thoughts on that?
Right. One of the challenges that we've looked at and that we will be working with each of the cities on is, like I said, we'd like to use your parks, the light poles, for instance, and to be able to put radios up on those. Your city facilities, for instance, your fire station on Seacrest there, your fire headquarters. We already have a presence in there because we are your internet service provider. We'd like to put an antenna on the outside of that building to help facilitate this signal. Now, one of the challenges doing that in city parks or city facilities is power, right? So we would possibly look to the city to assist us with bringing a circuit to where the radio is so that we can have power. These radios don't use much power, but the ability to get an outlet or a circuit to that location is sometimes a challenge in a facility. We've been working with the school district, and they've been very helpful with bringing the power to us at the schools on using their funding. So that way we can continue to use our funding to extend the actual broadband network itself. So that's one area that's at the top of the list that we'll be asking you to hopefully be able to work with us on. I don't think it's a big financial impact, but it's certainly something that they're your buildings, they're your light poles. We would need permission and to be able to work with your staff to get those up there.
Yeah, there's no doubt we would work with you on that. In fact, our commission during our budget process had a discussion of getting Wi-Fi in every park within the next 2 years, or I think we did it over 3 years with our ARPA funding. And hearing this now, you're doing a good chunk of that work for us in terms of needing to utilize our parks. So yes, the balance that we wouldn't use and trying not to be redundant is then we would be able to have the funding to bring the power where it needs. So I'd definitely like to coordinate that with you.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners, for your time this evening. Unless you have any other questions at the end of our presentation, I would like to recognize our American Sign Language interpreter. She's doing a phenomenal job.
Okay. Thank you. Our next announcement is from Glenn Weiss, Public Arts Manager, to announce opening of the Dual Conversations exhibit at the Arts and Cultural Center.
Is this working?
It is.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. And I've come tonight to invite everyone to the opening of the exhibition called Dual Conversations, which opens this Friday night at 5:30 to 7 at the Cultural Center. This particular exhibition features 2 textile artists, one from Miami and one from here in Palm Beach County. And we did have some images. Okay, there it is. You can see, next slide. John, can you hear me? The next slide, you're seeing a photograph of Jillian Kennedy Wright. She is Jamaican, Canadian, American artist, recently moved to Palm Beach County. And with her work, next slide, she stitches colorful West African Ankara print fabrics into the shape of Ghana and Rinka symbols that provide identity for families and cultures in West Africa. She calls the work F for Freedom, referencing the symbol Fawawdy that is part of the phrase, independence comes with responsibility. Next slide. You can see the symbol, the kind of double shape. Next slide. The next artist is Laura Marsh from Miami. She sews fabrics into the format of heraldic medieval banners used for public identity in states and cities and important families 1,000 years ago. She adds the words in the spirit of like sayings that'll be on needlepoint samplers that you may have seen in your homes or in antique stores or political street posters. Next slide. So these banners like distanced, not defeated, power can be taken but not given, mask and task on, are a series of kind of phrases that she adds to us to think about in our public discourse. Thank you.
All right. Is that it, Glenn? All right. Our next announcement is by Rebecca Harvey, Sustainability Coordinator, about the City of Boynton Beach tree planting event on October 9th at Galaxy Park.
Good evening, Mayor.
Yes, we hear you, Rebecca.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. Rebecca Harvey, Sustainability Coordinator. This Saturday, October 9th, from 9:30 a.m. to 12 p.m., the City of Boynton Beach and Community Greening are hosting a tree planting event at Galaxy Park, 301 Galaxy Way in Boynton Beach. This event is open to the public as well as to members of the Galaxy E3 Elementary School community. Volunteers will be planting 30 trees around the baseball field, playground, and parking lot, including live oak, buttonwoods, red bay, and red maple trees. This event contributes to the City of Boynton Beach's goal of increasing tree canopy from 16.1% where it is currently to 20% by the year 2035. In the year since City Commission passed this tree canopy resolution, the City and Community Greening have planted nearly 600 trees on public lands and given away nearly 300 trees to Boynton Beach residents. The Boynton Beach CRA is covering the costs of trees and materials for plantings within the CRA area. The residents can find more event details about this Saturday's planting and register to volunteer on the city's event calendar at boynton-beach.org. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our next announcement is proclaim October 6, 2021 as Energy Efficiency Day in the City of Boynton Beach. City of Boynton Beach Proclamation. Whereas energy efficiency is the cheapest, quickest, and cleanest way to meet our energy needs, avoid dangerous pollution, and reduce utility bills for residents and businesses in our community. Energy efficiency can also make our homes and workspaces healthier, safer, and more comfortable. And whereas smarter energy use reduces the amount of electricity we need to power our lives, which helps avoid power plant emissions that can harm our health, pollute our air, and warm our climate. For cities and states like ours that are trying to tackle harmful pollution, energy efficiency can get us about halfway toward our emissions reduction goals. And whereas cutting energy waste saves U.S. households billions of dollars on their utility bills every year, up to $500 per household from appliance efficiency standards alone. And whereas implementing energy efficiency and other clean energy policies and programs can help boost economic opportunities and job creation while continuing to move the City of Boynton Beach toward a sustainable future. And whereas a nationwide network of energy efficiency groups and partners has designated the first Wednesday in October as National Annual Energy Efficiency Day. And whereas residents of Boynton Beach can contribute to our energy efficiency efforts by practicing smarter energy use in their daily lives and participating in the city's Energy Edge rebate program. Now, therefore, I, Stephen B. Grant, Mayor of the City of Boynton Beach, Florida, hereby proclaim the 6th of October, 2021 as Energy Efficiency Day. And Vice Mayor, if you'd like to hand over the proclamation.
Is there here to receive
Good
it?
evening again. I'm accepting it remotely.
Okay, so
I couldn't be there in person this evening.
no worries. And so I guess could you talk a little bit more about the Energy Edge program and how residents could use that and what is it used for?
Yes, certainly. So Rebecca Harvey, Sustainability Coordinator. I'm proud to accept this proclamation for Energy Efficiency Day in the city of Boynton Beach for the 5th year in a row. Energy efficiency is a critical strategy in the city of Boynton Beach's Climate Action Plan, which sets the target of reducing greenhouse gas emissions 50% by 2035 and achieving net zero emissions by 2050. This year, Boynton Beach has stepped up its climate commitment by joining the city's Race to Zero, a global campaign to accelerate greenhouse gas reduction. Energy efficiency is one of the high impact actions the city will be focusing on in this program. So residents and small businesses in the city of Boynton Beach can enjoy the savings of energy efficiency and even greater savings because of our very unique program, the Energy Edge Rebate Program. This program provides rebates for eligible air conditioners, insulation, doors, windows, roofs, water heaters, solar panels, and electric car chargers. Since 2014, the program has provided 173 rebates totaling $158,000. And participation has increased significantly in the past 2 years through our expanded marketing and word of mouth referrals to the program. Residents can learn more about the Energy Edge Rebate Program at gogreenboynton.com. Thank you. Thanks for the proclamation.
My pleasure.
Have a good evening.
All right. And now we have, yes, Commissioner Romulus.
Rebecca, if you can send an email with a rundown of the residents and the zip codes or the areas that have taken advantage of this, I'd like to see that information, please.
Yes, I can certainly do that, Commissioner.
Thank you very much.
Seeing no further questions or comments, moving on to our last announcement by John Durgan regarding the city's upcoming career and job fair.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. John Durgan, Economic Development Manager for the City of Boynton Beach. Just want to announce that the city has partnered with CareerSource Palm Beach County to host a job fair on Thursday, October 14th from 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at our Arts and Cultural Center on the second floor auditorium. Again, that's Thursday, October 14th from 3 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at our Arts and Cultural Center on the second floor in the auditorium. Individuals can pre-register at employflorida.com. I just want to give you a little bit of a rundown of the industries that will be present at the job fair. We're going to have the hospitality industry represented, customer service, transportation, and logistics. And just to name some of the few employers that will be in attendance as well, we have Amazon, Hyatt Marriott Hotels, MV Transit, Palm Tran, Retreat Behavioral Health, and we'll have McDonald's and Burger King there as well, just to name a few. We have 11 total employers confirmed, and we're still working with a few more that may participate. And what we're really excited about is the educational partners that will be in attendance. We will have Palm Beach State College there. We'll have the School District of Palm Beach County in attendance, CareerSource's training department, as well as Medical Career Academy. Why we're really excited about this is that kind of closes the loop for everybody who does attend. So for example, if an individual doesn't qualify for a position or isn't selected for a position, everybody's going to leave there with something. So if they don't get selected, there'll be information there for all the wonderful educational programs that are out there, vocational and training programs, certification programs, and ways for that individual to access those programs. So that's what we're really excited about. We do have a flyer, and I have some in the back there, and we've distributed it throughout the city. It does say job fair in Spanish and Creole, and we will have speakers there at the event that do speak Spanish and Creole. Again, we encourage people to pre-register. You don't have to pre-register, but you can pre-register at employflorida.com. And we do encourage individuals who will attend to bring at least 10 copies of their resume. That's one of the most important things they can bring to the job fair. I'll take any questions if you have any.
The comment that I want to make is that part of my position on the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board, we have a member of the Career Source, Dr. Elsa DeGoy, and this is kind of how we ended up having the conversation to have this type of career fair in the city of Boynton Beach. In addition, my position as vice chair of the Palm Trans Service Board, there is a need for drivers, and so part of the requirements is, if you're looking for a job and you have a driver's license, we have jobs for you at this career fair. In addition, with the American Rescue Plan funds that we have and the ability to fund economic mobility, this is the opportunity that everyone over the age of 18 who feels that they're unemployed or underemployed can has the opportunity to better their lives through both education and work. So part of it is that, I have a question regarding any sort of marketing that we are doing. Are we going out to some of our influencers in the community to help have them spread the word, or are we only doing what we normally do?
I'll be happy to work with our marketing department to push this out in any creative way that we possibly can.
Because I don't know if the information was there for the concert that we had on October 1st, but it's something that I feel we need to have some sort of paid advertising so that people understand the importance of this one opportunity. We heard years ago the failure, the ineffectiveness of the town square job fair, where 8 out of 120 people got jobs. This is, I feel the response of that. This is the opportunity that we have with county partners, education partners to really change the dynamic of the workforce in the city of Boynton Beach and the surrounding areas. So I hope the commission takes some stake in this and helps market this through any means possible.
Mayor?
Yes.
I have a question real quick, because I know one of the criticisms from the commission sometimes is that we rely on traditional, I guess not traditional, but we rely on social media. What are these influencers, who are they, that would they not be using the same social media? And given the fact that the criticism has been to try to reach people by other means, so how would these influencers be reaching people?
So the quote that I heard that really resonated with me is that if you don't trust the messenger, you're not going to trust the message. And so, these influencers that have the hits similar to what we have seen in our CRA blasts. And so, I definitely would want to encourage the CRA to help spread this word and any other of the city's social media. It's that aspect of people who may not just trust the government, that may want to hear it from the community, the different nonprofits, where, if we're asking these individuals to do work for the city, it's only that they get paid for doing work on behalf of the city marketing, because it's not like we have free newspaper ads, free magazine ads. And so this is the fact of the 21st century, that if we are getting video ads on people's social media, having them go out into the community, is what my big push is. And I'm not saying that we spend thousands of dollars. I'm just saying if we could spend $8,000, I think it would make a huge difference, because I'd like to see 500 people attend. And I'll ask John, do you think that's would be a good number of people to come for those 3 hours?
Could you repeat that number there?
500.
Yes, I would say that's a well-attended event. And like I said before, even if an individual doesn't leave with a job opportunity or an actual job, we can lead them down the right path if they're looking for some sort of vocational training or some certification training. So they're going to leave with something valuable that may help. And, we are going to pass these flyers out at the food drive on Thursday.
I'm going to work with our recreation and park staff to make an announcement at our Bulldogs game at the Hester Center this Saturday. And again, I'm working with Eleanor and her great staff on getting this out the best way we can. We reached out to their contact at the Haitian radio station to get it out there. So we're trying to touch every avenue possible to get this message out.
Mayor?
Yes.
I have 2 questions for John. Well, first of all, thank you to you and the team for working to put this together. Number one, just thinking back in the past, and I know there were individuals who were disappointed. They came thinking that maybe there was an opportunity for them, and unfortunately they weren't qualified. Are we announcing in advance, at least a preview of what the different types of qualifications may be for these different type of job categories? I think that's a good idea. I just want to make sure that people know what they're walking into, and we don't set that expectation hopelessly, and that's the last thing we want. The second item that I want to bring up is, are we keeping track of all the people that are coming in? Who are they? Are we keeping track of how many people they speak to? Are we getting feedback from these potential employers? What kind of the common issues were there? And just one more thing I thought of, it's related to the first item I brought up. It's really about setting expectations and making sure that we set people up for success. And you've done a lot of the groundwork for that. Letting them know what the qualifications are one thing, but one of the things you mentioned is bringing a resume. Are we informing them what are some key guidelines to have a resume? I know we have services in the library. Do we still have that? I think it would be a great idea to include that as part of the advertisement. We want to do everything we can to set up individuals to do well even before they walk in. So anything we can do in that front would be greatly appreciated. And data management. We want to make sure we know what the feedback are from the employers, what are the issues, so we can do better next time.
Absolutely, those are all great questions, and we will work with our library staff to get this out in regards to working on a resume. I know Career Source is there once a week at our library as well as they have a social worker working there temporarily now to help individuals. So we'll definitely have a coordinated effort where we can let individuals know about that resume building, because it is such a critical part of this job fair. And Career Source did let me know up front, and that's one of the main things that people don't even bring to the job fair. So we wanted to have a copy machine on standby just in case they didn't have enough copies at the job fair. So we'll definitely have that targeted approach to let people know there are resources out there to help them build that resume. And to answer your question on tracking, absolutely. Career Source is a wonderful partner. They track everybody who comes in there, and they follow up with them after the job fair. So they track their progress, who they applied with, who they contacted, who contacted them. Even if you don't pre-register, if you do come to the event, you will sign in, and Career Source will make a phone call and follow up multiple times with that individual who is seeking employment.
All right, thank you, John. And in terms of qualifications, are we putting that on the website and anywhere what the general qualifications are, just so they have an expectation of what they can and cannot apply for?
Yeah, so we can do that. We don't have it on there right now. Career Source does have that information, and they have a large database where they're blasting this information out to their partners as well. They make the initial contact with some of the employers, so they'll have those qualifications in job descriptions and what those actual qualifications are. I'll be more than happy to reach out to them first thing tomorrow morning to kind of get those, so we can market those and have some sort of targeted approach when we do advertise this.
Right, thank you,
absolutely,
John.
of course.
If there's no further questions or comments, that will end announcements, and we'll open it up to public audience. Individual speakers will be limited to a 3-minute presentation. Please state your name and address before you begin. And Vice Mayor, do you know how to work the timer?
Technology.
I got it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Over there.
Good morning, Mayor. Morning, listen to me. Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners, Madam City Manager. My name is Lori Wilkinson. I live at 2458 Southwest 23rd Cranbrook Drive here in Boynton. But tonight I am here representing the Education and Youth Advisory Board. I know all of you know, but just for the people that might not know, the Education and Youth Advisory Board is a board that advises our City Commission on you guessed it, the education and youth that goes on in our city. One of the things that we do on our board is donate to children within our city from different schools and different community groups that may need some money. And when we get requests, it's very, very difficult for us to say no because they always really need it. So with the whole COVID situation, as you might imagine, our coffers are running a little bit low. So our board has decided to do a fundraiser, and it is in conjunction with the Fall Festival that is coming up on October 16th. We are hosting a pumpkin carving contest. The basic gist is anybody can enter a pumpkin, individuals, families, businesses, departments in the city, departments in the city, departments in the city. If you haven't got that message, please, we would love to have people enter a pumpkin. Organizations, we already have some commitments from groups like Kiwanis and Rotary. Some of the local businesses have said they would, and also the Greater Boynton Foundation and some of the other groups that are already affiliated with the city. Of course, our board is going to do one as well. But the basic gist of the contest is that it costs $5 to enter a pumpkin. So it's not a very expensive endeavor. You do have to buy your own pumpkin. Grab yourself any size pumpkin you want, decorate it, carve it, bedazzle it, put glitter on it, have spiky hair for it. I don't care. And then maybe make a sign if you'd like so we know who it belongs to. That's going to cost $5 for the people that enter the pumpkin. And then those people at the festival, and hopefully people will encourage their friends and family to come vote for their pumpkin. People that are going to vote for the pumpkin are going to pay $2 to put a vote in a box in front of the pumpkin. And the idea being that it's basically just a popularity contest on the pumpkin. So I highly recommend that when your departments in the city, remember I said that, departments in the city that are going to do this and compete against each other, right? When you guys do a pumpkin, make sure you get all your people to come out and vote for it, for crying out loud. That's the goal, right? So we're going to be there on the 16th from the entire time that it's open, but pumpkins can arrive anytime after 2:30. The event does start at 3, and we're going to start counting the votes at 5:30. So we'll have the winner announced before it's over. My hope is that as this goes on year after year, it will become a competitive thing. I want people to say, hey, it's getting to be October. Who's doing our pumpkin this year? We got to, we want to beat that, that other city department that tried to win last year or whatever. And if this goes as well as we expect it to, we're planning to do it again around the holidays with gingerbread houses. So I invite you all to either contact your organizations that you're involved in outside of work, because I know most people don't know how to say no, so you do other things. Also, your friends, also your family. And did I mention I would like the departments in the city to participate if possible. $5 to enter a pumpkin on October 16th at the Fall Festival over at the Intercoastal Park. Anybody have any questions? There is a registration form that we've got. I've learned some things with this. I learned how to make a Google Drive document that was fillable, and I learned how to make a Bitly to make my little web line better. So there is an actual online form for people to fill out ahead of time, so we have an idea.
Thank you, Lori.
How many?
And I just want to say that, whatever information you can give us, it would be appreciated. We'll try to promote it as well as we can. And, my daughter is getting into painting at 1.5, so I will definitely have her pumpkin as part of the project, to be put in there. Might not be the biggest pumpkin, it might not be the best pumpkin, but we want to support our education and youth advisory board.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're not out for glamour. We just want numbers. So thanks so much, guys.
All right, my pleasure.
Lori, I want to apologize because clearly the clock is not as easy as it looks.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine.
So sorry.
And I'm
trying to wait until you finish. I wasn't trying to beep you because it wasn't set, but 3 minutes.
Yeah, it was time. I got it. Have a good night, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you, Lori. I do want to commend the mayor because he makes the clock job look very easy.
All right.
There needs to be a training on the clock.
Yeah, I think so.
This? Okay.
I think we all
need to be trained on the clock.
Hello, everyone. How y'all doing today?
You.
How y'all doing? Y'all all right?
Hi, hello.
We're good. I do have a presentation for you. I don't know if we have the PowerPoint.
Hold on, let me.
Public comments, there are no presentations allowed.
Oh, okay.
If we did that for one, we'd have to do it for everybody. And that
Oh,
would-
okay. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Okay.
All right. I think
No
I
problem.
got it.
Document up.
Does
All
everybody
right.
see it?
All right. So my name is Jessica T. White. I am the CEO of the Sexual Exploitation and Abuse Child Protection Agency. We are a multinational agency, faith-based agency with a global mission to combat sexual crimes against children. And I'm glad to be here today to present to you all. And thank you for all the work that you all have been doing. So our agency was developed because we realized that there was a harvest that was plentiful, but the laborers were few. And so many people in the land have little information or education about sexual crimes against children or misinformed information. And so during the pandemic, we realized that there was a global shutdown that caused children to be in place with people who would abuse them, some that are not respectable adults. And so 90% of children who are abused by someone that they know. And 1 out of 5 children are solicited with sex online. And we know that children were online during the pandemic. So we decided that we wanted to do a pilot program here in Boynton Beach, Florida, to be able to educate the population about sexual crimes and how to prevent children from being sexually abused. And so this pilot program, if you look at your papers that you have, and some look at the screens, this pilot program will be able to have comprehensive trainings, and there'll be 4 sessions with this program that we will want to host here. But Commission, we need your help. Please understand, if we do not safeguard our children and prepare them for prevention, our community will be a city without walls, allowing the thieves to come in to be able to utilize these children for personal gain. And we want to be able to make sure that we raise our children up so that they can be able to help the next generation that comes forward, because they are our future leaders. If you have any questions, please let us know. We would really like to be able to implement this here next year for the city members. Oh, I don't know if my time's up. I see something happening with the clock. Do I have a couple more minutes? Okay,
Yeah, you got 25 seconds.
Okay, 25 seconds. I want you to look up at the screen. You can see that during the pandemic, there was a high rise in cases, especially during October, and some of our staff of educators and Parks and Recreations weren't ready for those disclosures. So we want to actually teach our community how to be able to even understand how to receive disclosures from children when they do talk about what happened to them. Yay, we good. Any questions?
I'd like to say, as always, after your presentation at the police station, I want to do whatever I can to help support your organization, because the fact is that this is going on. And I know that I have another nonprofit wants to make sure that January everyone knows about Human Trafficking Month. And so that's something that, is definitely affects the children and kind of is with your organization. So I'm going to get you two together so that you can hopefully raise some money and, make sure that people are aware of the child exploitation that is going on in the area and the human trafficking as well, so that we can end this practice.
Jessica, thank you for your presentation. If you could just reach out to me, or if not to all of us, I would love to continue this conversation offline.
Thank you so much.
I agree. It did feel kind of rushed, but I do want to hear more and learn more. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's long overdue.
Thank you, guys.
I do believe I made John there we go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anwarul Khan. I'm the founding chairman of Dhaka Club of Florida, it's a non-profit organization. We represent Bangladesh and show Bangladeshi next generation to involve in our culture. So during the liberation of Bangladesh, Bangladesh got independent in 1971, and that time our father of nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, gave a speech. That speech became a history, the historic 7th March. The historic 7th March speech of the father of Bangladesh has been included in the memory of the World International Register, a list of the world's important democracy heritage maintained by the UNESCO. The memory of the World International Register is ensure prevention of and access to democracy heritage in various parts of the world. UNESCO Director General Arlie Albert said the historic 7th March speech of the father of the nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, defended universal values, freedom, human rights, and dignity as progress in education, culture, and science. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's speech constitutes a faithful documentation to develop inclusive democratic society, their population belonging to different ethnic, cultural, linguistic, or religious groups. Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's speech recognized as rich as speech of Nelson Mandela and Alfred Nobel as of UNESCO. The city of Boynton Beach is the third largest municipality in the Palm Beach County, rich with culture and diversity. They value other ethnicity and welcome any culture to celebrate their historical day. Every year, we as Bangladeshi people are celebrating International Mother Language Day here in Boynton Beach City, and our first Bengali book fair established in Boynton Beach City. The world faces a global crisis. At this turning point, let us be optimistic and let us remember Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman that this fight for humanity is also a fight for right. I would like to request to Honorable Mayor Stephen Grant and all of the City Council Commissioners to rename any road named after Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, where over 50,000 Bangladeshis lives in Florida will feel their home, and your Boynton Beach City will be highlighted throughout the world. And this will be the second road in the United States. The first one is in Chicago.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. And I'm in favor of moving forward, but I do think you need to have a little bit more information of which road that you would like. In addition, I believe the process is that if there is a consensus by the commission, we could put this forward, I think, in front of the Historic Resources Advisory Board to make sure that this is a part of our ordinance. Andrew, I see you're shaking your head. How is this supposed to happen to get roads renamed?
Andrew Mack, Assistant City Manager, Public Services. There is a defined process in the code. I can send that to you. I'll give you my card. You send me an email. I'll give it to you so that you know.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right.
Jacqueline Mataragas, 2620 Northeast First Court, Boynton Beach. Village Royal on the Green I represent, which is just off of Gateway. And one of our last meetings, we had invited Commissioner Hay, Vice Mayor Hay, to come to our meeting to direct us so we could have some safety measures. And he said he would, and he came. And he brought with him, he said, an expert, which was Gary Dunmeyer. Well, I guess he was a serious expert, both of them. Because this week, everything was completed, and we have, I don't know if it's totally completed, I'm not an expert on that. However, now we have arrows and bike paths and walking lines and crosswalks and reflectors. And I have to say it's a spectacular job, well done, and thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is thank you from the neighborhood around and Village Royal on the Green. Thank you.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, Commissioner Romulus.
if I may, I just want to say hello. It's been so long since I've seen you. It's really nice to see you in person again. So it's nice to see you, and please send our regards to the Village on the Green. Thank you.
And I don't know if John mentioned this, that if anyone who is on virtually would like to make a comment or ask a question, I believe the function to raise hands and ask questions is available.
That is correct, Mayor Grant. Those options have been enabled.
Okay. And I do not see anybody else raising their hands or asking a question virtually.
We do have one.
Okay.
In person.
All right.
I feel bad. The mayor doesn't see me.
I see you.
All right. You see me?
Yeah. You want to hold up some fingers? I'll tell you how many fingers you're holding up.
Mayor, you don't see me? Mayor?
He can
Yeah,
see you.
Sir, your time is running. Please speak.
Oh, yeah.
Please go ahead and start speaking.
Ernest McNolly, 710 Northeast 7th Street, Boynton Beach, Florida. Also known as the Harbor Hall Inlet Club. There's two buildings over there. I'm listening to a lot of things you're saying tonight, and certainly children, ADA, handicapped people, immobile, seniors, etc., are very, 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 very plagued during this plague by building violations, fire hazards, crime in the neighborhood, broken street lights, lack of patrol, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of things going on. So how did I get involved? After the building collapsed in Southern Florida, I started to look around my building and say, gee, we have a lot of the same problems here. And then I started to contact the city, and I was rebuffed, whether there's crime in the street, whether there's fire hazards or major building problems, nobody wants to talk about it. Then I started to file OPRAs, costing me hundreds of dollars. And what do I get? Hundreds, thousands of violations all over the place with kids living here. And then recently I call up, I say, look, in my building, there's 2 kids living there, not with a CO, by the way. And right next to them is explosive propane gas. And the fire department says, oh, we were there, we didn't see anything. Fine, I have pictures of it. So now, last week, same thing. Propane gas is back right under the kid's window. I call the fire marshal. Fire marshal says, send somebody over there. We didn't find anything. Of course, I have pictures. Of course, it's still there today. Of course, I send emails to the building department, the fire department, the police department, the mayor's department, and not one of you return an email. Not one. And I think the public should hear this. And also, exactly how your city attorney is with not returning emails, phone calls, or anything. I don't know. Last time I was here, I said you need a crime oversight division. It's you don't. What you need here is a citizen municipal oversight division, so that we can keep a watch to make sure that officials here are doing their job, because the city's out of control. You're in the bottom, I shouldn't say you, me, I live here now. The bottom 67% in the United States for crime against children, rape, drugs, violence. There's fire and building violations everywhere. And nobody wants to do anything about anything except character assassinate people like me. And can I get a few extra minutes like the other people who spoke before me? No, right away she says no. But you let the other people blab on for extra time.
Your time is up, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Was that the mayor?
All right. Sorry. Yeah.
In March.
All right.
Mayor Grant, this is John McNally. I still do not see any hands raised or any questions posed in the GoToWebinar interface.
All right.
There are no more public speakers in person, it would appear.
All right. Thank you. If that is the case, we will move on to item 5, administrative. Appointment of eligible members of the community to serve in vacant positions on city advisory boards. I believe we have one applicant for the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, residential home building. I would like to nominate Davey Morris for the residential home building.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all of those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving forward to the next is the Art Advisory Board Workshop Report.
Hi, Glenn Weiss, your Public Art Manager. Thank you again. I wanted to thank you very much, and the Art Advisory Board thanks you for allowing them to hold a workshop, which they held here in this building on August 21st with excellent attendance and members of the public. They then created a summary report, which was adopted at their September 9th meeting. I'm not going to read the entire recommendations to you, but just to focus on some of the issues from Commissioner Romulus and Commissioner Persenga from the last meeting. And one of those had to do with diversity, and I want you to know that the Art Advisory Board is very concerned about the diversity of our public art collection and the work that is created here in the city of Boynton Beach, and that we should do all in our power to increase the amount of works purchased and presented to the public by from our diverse populations, and that we also need to make sure that in all our programs that we are engaging those committees, those communities as much as possible. Secondly, in terms of the program evaluation, they did look at their past programs and they renewed their commitment to the Kinetic exhibition. The reason that they did that, if I can speak correctly, is because they feel that it's the city's premier event, which separates it from the rest of Palm Beach County and South Florida. They, though, do recognize that the Kinetic event needs to have a more community engagement. And so it is up to them within the next 6 to 8 months as we plan the Kinetic event for 2023 to figure out that way in which the community can be further engaged in the kind of artwork and the presentation that goes on in that project. They did evaluate other elements, and one thing they want to continue to be the largest public art collection of Palm Beach County artists. Here we have almost all 80 artworks are from South Florida artists or from artists in our region, and they want to maintain that. They want to support the good distribution of public art throughout the city, yet at the same time have a concentration in downtown. And they want to get much better, because they don't feel it is as good as it could be, at the public information which goes out about the public art program. They want to proceed with new programs, such as the murals, more collaboration with city departments and community agencies. They'd like to see how they could enhance their fundraising and how we can enhance our engagement with K through 12 education. That's my basic summary, and you have the detailed points which they have recommended to you.
Mayor,
Yes.
if I may, I'd like to ask a few questions to Glenn. Glenn, thank you for working with the Art Advisory Board. I think overall these are great recommendations. I do have a couple of questions. Number one, it says here for the mural program, as you know, that's important to me.
Yes.
It says here with private collaboration and support. Could you elaborate on what that means? Because to me, public art means I don't remember if somebody said this before, but somebody may have. It's not just about putting art in the public, but actually having public participation in the art. So I'm open to private artists getting involved, obviously, but is this something where the public can be a part of? Is that what that's meant, or what does this mean?
I'm sorry. That just meant that. That has to do with the financial attribute that our money should be kind of a seed money to make other artwork happen. As you will see, the draft mural ordinance and guidelines and program has been completed and is now working its way through the process. And there's a great deal of community engagement in relationship to the making of the work and the planning of the work.
Excellent. And what about the financing of future art projects. Are there any discussions on how to find alternative means of funding? Did that come up in the workshop?
Only to say, shall I say, that they would love to see more funding coming directly from the city commission from the budget, as opposed to just direct in terms of just the money from the developers. But no, in detail, that was not discussed.
Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner Katz.
I have a question. So with the statement you just said, with hopes that there might be additional funding from the city in the future, how detrimental would it be to the arts program if the current developer fee were to be reduced by a quantity of 25 to 50%, as some have floated?
It would reduce the program substantially, yes, to do that. I mean, we haven't, anyway, so yes, it would have a substantial impact.
Thank you.
I would recommend that discussion be had by the Arts Advisory Board, regardless of what happens to the ordinance, whether that is changed or not changed. It's always good to have alternative means of funding in general. So I would encourage that they have that conversation.
Okay, and we'll take that back to them, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Glenn, I would say that, the city would like to partner similar to the Education Youth Advisory Board for fundraisers. So I know, one of the best ways is that, we do support a lot of local artists. If some of the local artists want to support our art in the city, we'd be happy to help sell their paintings or have raffles, to do something like that, to, maybe turn the chambers into a gallery. There's a lot of different options available to help raise funds for the art. And so I look forward to hearing from what the Art Advisory Board has in mind.
Thank you.
Or did you still want to say something? Mayor? We
Yes.
have the city manager would like to.
Okay. Yeah, her camera's not on, so I can't see her.
I just back off, Mayor. And Glenn, I think you and I've had a brief opportunity to chat as far as the art fund itself. We as we have so many pieces on loan right now, just for in the town square area, and I look out our window on the 4th floor and see the horse, and ask Glenn, get the price down. We got to figure out a way to keep some of this stuff, because it's all just so beautiful and you hate to see it leave. And I know, for years the art fund was lent money from the general fund to get going. It's its own enterprise fund. Enterprise is the right word, but and was always, had debt to pay back. So we've never had the luxury really to, unless we fund it out of general fund tax dollars. Now, we started getting, I think the fund was pretty much in the black, and we were caught up a year or so ago. And then right now with Town Square, with us fronting the money on all of the art for the majority of the project without having the private sector contribution yet, it has us back upside down for a short while. But the goal has always been, once, and when this gets completed, I think we're going to have a healthy art fund if we can continue as development continues. And then I know we would always try to buy at least one piece every year, one to support the artist community. We let them display a lot of stuff. Well, that's great, but they want to sell it. And I think we, as part of our commitment to the support of the arts in this community, is to be able to buy some of these pieces. So, we're in a little bit of an odd time right now as we kind of get through the Town Square project. And then, I think we're going to be in a better place as development continues on and our program grows stronger, to be able to purchase additional pieces, because we hear nothing but phenomenal things about all of them. Every single day, the people around City Hall taking pictures, watching the children with the horse and the butterfly. It's going to be a sad day when those get removed. So we're going to get there.
All right. Anything else?
That's it for me, Glenn, but thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we are moving on to consent agenda. Would anyone like to pull an item on consent agenda? For
Yes,
myself,
Mayor.
yep.
I would like to pull 6A.
Okay. And for myself, I'd like to pull 6E. So we got 6A is authorize utilizing the Law Enforcement Trust Fund in the amount of $23,000 for the purchase of gift cards and gun packaging processing materials to incentivize and encourage firearm owners to safely dispose of unwanted firearms.
Yes, Mayor. I know we've had a gun buyback program previously, but I would like to have the chief talk about this new one that we have proposed here, the rationale behind it. Chief Gregory.
Commissioner, Mayor, City Manager, Michael Gregory, Police Chief. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit more about that. As we talked last time, we had a very successful gun buyback program that we held earlier part of the year. So successful, we ran out of gift cards, as I mentioned previously, and we had to turn folks away that were trying to turn over firearms because they didn't have an alternative method of disposing of them. So we knew we wanted to try to do another program. We're still trying to lock down the right date and time, but as occurred with the previous program, we funded it from drug dealer funds, from our law enforcement trust funds, money that we seized during forfeiture actions. So we're going to do that one more time and try to figure out the right timing to make it happen, to give the public another opportunity here in Boynton Beach to get rid of unwanted firearms that they may have at home.
Mayor?
Yes.
To the chief, this isn't restricted to Boynton Beach residents, I assume, and if that's correct, I guess we don't ask questions, right? So we don't know like how many Boynton Beach guns are being taken off the street necessarily as a result of this.
That's correct. That's correct. We don't ask a lot of questions to keep folks from feeling intimidated about turning them in the first place. We do full investigations on the firearms. So once we do take them off the street, we bring them back to the police station. We process them, the serial numbers, to see if they've been reported stolen. And if so, we try to reunite the firearm with its lawful owner. And if not, we also do investigation to determine if it was used in the commission of a crime. And if we can determine that, then that gets turned over to the appropriate law enforcement agency that's investigating that crime, or if it's one of ours. And based on there being no lawful owner that we can identify, and that not being used in a crime that we can identify, then the firearms are slated for destruction.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Chief, did you face any particular challenges on the last time, and have those been resolved, or everything went smoothly?
It went very smoothly. The biggest challenge we faced was the large turnout. That was larger than we had anticipated. We had actually, from the facility that we were using, that was roughly, I think it was around 6th Avenue and Seacrest, roughly 5th Avenue and Seacrest. And the line of cars stacked up from the facility all the way south on Seacrest, practically back down to Boynton Beach Boulevard. So we had a large turnout of people that were appreciative of the opportunity to be able to turn over those firearms and get them out of their homes.
Remind me again how many guns we removed from the street last time?
Yes, our last time was our very first time, and we recovered over 133 firearms.
133?
Yes, that included long rifles as well as handguns.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Chief, what's the amount that we're going to be giving out this time around?
We're requesting $23,000 out of the law enforcement trust funds. $3,000 that would go to reimburse the gift cards that we purchased from the last time, and the remaining $20,000 will go towards the gift cards, as well as some additional accessories that we'll be offering for gun owners to have gun locks and trigger locks for firearms, and some safety marketing material to help understand the crime prevention measures that are appropriate for keeping a firearm at home.
Let me restate the question. I think I asked it the wrong way. What's the amount of the individual gift cards that we're going to be giving out?
We're adjusting those from last time. I believe we did 100 and 200. And I think we're adjusting that to 75 and 150 this time.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Chief Gregory, I know I wasn't able to make it to the National Night Out, and I don't believe most of the commission was able to make it either. And so hopefully we can partner with the marketing department and one of their concerts to have a police night out in the city of Boynton Beach on one of the first Fridays.
Well, that would be wonderful. Thank you, Ranche. It is, thank you for the marketing as well. So tonight is National Night Out on Crime. It's running right now at Barrier Free Park from 5 to 8 p.m. So there's a little bit of partying time that people can squeeze in if you're in the neighborhood. It's a great turnout. There are a lot of people over at the park right now. Lots of kids have come out to play and to meet the officers, play with the lights on the motorcycles and take pictures in front of our apparatus. We've got some great food truck vendors that are supporting our event tonight, and everything looks like it's going really well.
Wonderful.
For Mad Night, did they do the mothers? Wasn't Phil working on something at the amphitheater for, was it Mad at Mothers Against?
Yep, I believe that's in November.
Is it?
There's another event coming up for that. I don't have the date off the top of my head, but we will be partnering with the Mothers Against Drunk Driving for a drunk driving event, anti-drunk driving event.
Okay, thank you. The next item was 6E, I believe. Proposed resolution 21-136, approve and authorize the city manager to sign a 5-year agreement with Ballard Partners of Tallahassee for appropriations lobbyist services for the city of Boynton Beach with the estimated annual amount of $60,000 plus expenses. I was able to visit with Ballard Partners this year. They did an amazing job hosting and allowing me access to the Florida legislature. In regards to the appropriations, I know that both the federal, state, and county have a lot of money. And does the city currently have a grants coordinator?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Mara Fredrickson, Director of Financial Services. Currently, we have a grants manager position advertised and a fiscal analyst position, which is for grants advertised.
Okay. And so, mainly is that I saw within the scope of work, to helpfully help those positions find and capture any sort of competitive grants or appropriations in all of the higher government levels. In addition, I saw in the scope of services with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and I can say that I really haven't used that aspect of it, but whatever they can help us do with the Florida League of Mayors, I would appreciate as well.
And we will be bringing, and Matt Forrest will be here on December 7, Mayor, and we'll be bringing the legislative priority list to the commission for next year's session. And I also understand Palm Beach County Days is going to happen. I was just told by Richard Radcliffe. So the information hasn't come out yet, but as I get it, I'll certainly circulate it, and that would be in January.
Wonderful. And so, one of the big things regarding, a lobbyist that I hopefully the commission agrees is that the legislative annexation of the property to the west of the Boynton Beach Mall that is on septic, and so to try to put them on sewer. So I do believe we had consensus or motion, and if he can give us an update of that in December, I'd appreciate that. So if there's no further comments, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to consent bids and purchases over $100,000. Would anyone from the commission like to pull an item?
Do we need to approve the remainder of the consent agenda?
Appreciate it. Yes. Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Commissioner Katz. Now moving on to consent bids and purchases over 100,000. Would the commission like to pull any of those items?
Yes, Mayor. Item 7C on the item of the Eco Park.
Yes, I'd like to also pull that item, and 7B. Item 7B, approve an increase to the estimated annual expenditure of the U.S. Communities contract with Amazon Business in the amount of $110,000, increasing the estimated annual expenditure from $65,000 to $175,000. Basically what I saw in the backup is that we're moving all the accounts into one for Amazon. And, I hopefully, this is kind of like a prime account so that we're not paying on shipping. And so if anybody someone from staff can give me a little update of what the city uses Amazon for.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Mara Frederickson, Director of Financial Services. This was a citywide rollout this year, actually. And yes, we don't pay the shipping services for that. It is a joint business account for the city.
Okay. And, the only concern that I have is that, if we're stop using the local vendors because we're getting, things, Amazon's making things a little bit easier. And so I just, Mara, I just want to make it on the statement that if we currently have a local vendor that's that the city's, that is providing services to the city, that we take into account the fact that they're most likely paying the taxes, that they may live here, so that we're not just outsourcing everything regarding that Amazon does.
Absolutely, Mayor. Actually, we spent about a year not taking this to an enterprise account, and we actually quoted out every single individual item that anybody wanted to purchase on Amazon. Took the 3 quotes, and Amazon by far tended to be the cheapest, and our warehouse continues to look at each purchase individually as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. So may I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 7C. Approved task order with Gentile Glass Halloway O'Mahony and Associates Inc. in the amount of $148,762 in accordance with the RFQ General Consulting Services contract awarded by the City Commission to provide design, permitting, bid assistance, and construction administration services for a new eco park located in Quantum Park. Commissioner Pensurga?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I really just wanted to hear from staff. I think this is really important information that the public should know as well. If staff could give an overview of this item and what it entails.
Sure. Andrew Mack, Assistant City Manager, Public Services. Working with the commission and the public, we've had several meetings that have sought public input on the process of developing a new eco park in Quantum Park. We're glad to present tonight to you that first step, which will be the initial design and construction document permitting, as well as the bidding. This selection is for you tonight to make a decision on award to our consultant that will manage the project for us. As we move through that project, we'll go through the phase where we complete the design, and then we'll bring it back to the commission for the actual bid and award. So we're looking forward to that. We should be having schedules for the design within the next 90 days as far as the kickoff, and working with the consultant to make sure we get it worked into their schedule.
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. I know I'm certainly very excited about this, and so are lots of residents. And I know this is important to everybody in the commission. So.
And on another note, we have been ranked as long with this as well. The city has applied for a grant and Trails Park Rec application for a grant. We're seeking $400,000 from the state I believe we are ranked at the moment #1 in that grant. So it
we
looks
hear?
like we'll have a great,
Do we have confirmation on
no,
the awarding?
right now, we don't have a award. We just know that we've been ranked. We're waiting for them to fund the money. And once we hear that, we hope to hear that in the month of October.
Excellent. I mean, that's a very good sign. Ranked #1. I mean,
Yeah.
So we're very excited about getting this project off the ground and bringing it to fruition.
My concern is that, we don't skip that oversight that we have as the commission, that once the design is done, or, before the final design is done, that we have the opportunity to review it in a public setting. Because I'd hate to see people, use the eco park and find small things that could have been changed before time. In addition, we have the sustainability fund that can help the eco park, and one of the things that I'm trying to push is the solar power and energy renewables, and so that parking lot I feel is a prime place for solar canopies, similar to what we have in Oceanfront Park and Barrier Free Park. So I'd also, hopefully we are reaching out to FPL to see what we can do to get solar canopies in that parking lot, especially if we're calling it an eco park.
I think that's an excellent idea, Mayor.
Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner Katz.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank staff for continuing to move forward with this. This is another one of those items that, like the canal mitigation that Commissioner Romulus worked on for the past 5 years. We've been working our way towards getting this park in a position to be built out for the past 5 or 6 years. And it's just a pleasure to know that it should be etched in stone by the time we leave, after all the effort that's put in. And again, staff has been integral in that along the way. So I wanted to thank them for that.
Ditto.
Okay.
And for the record, this has been #1 on the list of the Rec and Park Advisory Board for many years. So I think they'll be just as happy to be able to see us at least get phase 1 done. Because in seeking more grants, there's going to be some other really cool things we can do there with learning pavilions and some other things with future grant funds.
I hope there's something as well that we can do to perhaps honor Mr. Cantor, because I know he was a really strong advocate for getting this park built out. So maybe just anything that we can do, maybe a plaque or just a thank you, something to just show him our appreciation as well, because we know he's been diligent on that.
Very much so.
I do have one more question. The original budget for this park was, if I remember correctly, around 1.2. Is there any discussion internally on how to meet that bit of a gap between the funding set aside by the Quantum Board and also potentially this Trails program? We still have that gap. Any internal discussions on what could be done, or is that to be determined?
Commissioner, we did have a discussion earlier regarding a Parks and Rec bond, which is something that the voters can vote on to help fund it. In addition, there's, as you mentioned, this is something that may take time, and it has taken time. So it's not something that we need to do all at once, but I believe we do have enough funding to start it off. You look at how much space we have with those 40 acres. It's bigger than the Palm Beach Zoo, to put things in perspective. And one of the things that, I'm concerned about, as we continue to develop, that we do what we can to preserve the land that we do have that is not developed or has never been developed. And one of the things that, I always saddens me is the roadkill that we see of the local opossums, raccoons. Make sure that, part of that learning aspect is the native flora and fauna that is in Boynton Beach. The fact that we have Lake Webster there to help with the freshwater aspects of flora and fauna. That's something that, I hopefully we as the move forward with this eco park, we have a nonprofit organization that helps us with the funding, because correct, the city should not be able to do this all on its own, similar to what you have mentioned in the past. The Quantum Park Development District should not be the only ones paying for this. However, I do feel that we need to find ways to, especially with Publix being the big payee of the Quantum Park Development District, if that does sunset, to see if they are still willing to help fund that area.
Mayor?
Yes, Vice Mayor.
I'd like to say this is exciting, the Eco Park, because even before this commission, it was on the table, and I'm glad that this commission was able to continue to move it forward. And I can almost assure you that the next commission will too continue to move this along and won't drop the baton as it's being passed. Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes,
Well,
Commissioner Romulus.
just one last comment. You kind of prompted from what you mentioned with the solar panels. Do we have electric vehicle parking in that parking lot as well? Is that something that we have there?
I don't believe there's one there now, but I know that we as a part of this project, that is something that we will consider putting in.
Okay.
Obviously, to answer Commissioner Pensurga's question, as a part of the design process, we'll do a value engineering look, and then look at what we can afford now, what can be phased, what can be easily phased. And then, as well as what the mayor mentioned, we will do some public outreach meetings as well to gain some input during the process. When we start having developing plans at 30, 60, 90% plans, we'll start seeking input to make sure that we're aligning the vision for the park with the commission and the public as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's some great sponsorship opportunities in the future. I can see a Publix pavilion or a so-and-so kayak launch or what have you if we need to. And there are other grant agencies, the Land and Water Conservation, Fish and Wildlife, that that we're going to continue to go after. Once you have your design done and it's shelf ready, we're in a much better place to then compete for additional grants. So that's going to be the next big step too. And we'll be utilizing some park impact fee funding, I think, is it funding this design portion of it, Andrew, or going toward construction?
Under the design,
Yeah.
correct.
And that is a fund that does support the development of regional parks. So we do consider this not a neighborhood park, but regional.
And to reiterate, Andrew, you said 90 days?
Yeah, we should have, get onto the consultant schedule. So we'll have a schedule that'll lay out the whole entire process within the next 90 days for sure, but or before.
Oh, that's just to get on to their schedule.
Right.
Oh,
We're going to have a kickoff meeting here within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll get a actual schedule with a timeline going.
Got it. All right. To be determined then.
All right. If there's no further questions or comments, may I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. And now may I have a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda over 100,000.
Move.
Second.
All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. City Manager's report, consider and approve use of American Rescue Plan Act funds to provide pandemic premium pay to city employees.
Thank you, Mayor. As the commission knows, we've had some discussions in the past regarding the potential use of some of the American Rescue Act funding for premium pay for employees. A variety of cities are utilizing some of this funding for some or all of their employees. Julie has put some work into some ideas of breaking down, I think, our employee classes into their categories and what a variety of different funding thresholds may look like for your just open discussion tonight, if you choose to move forward with something with premium pay. Oh, and let me just add before you go, Julie, I gave you a piece of paper this evening that, as the evening went on and I just reached out to Mara. I said, where do we sit on our balance, kind of where we've got a lot of little projects out there and things we want to bring forward for our ARPA. So this chart right here, we can discuss too. This is stuff that either has been approved or we know is out in the wings of potential expenditures out of the ARP funding. And that is not including us bringing any new projects or anything forward that we will be doing in November with you in a workshop setting. So just keeping that in mind, that's about where the balance would look like at a little over 4 million for us to be able to do some of the other things we've talked about, the resource center, et cetera.
Is there a presentation?
I can just, I'm sorry, Julie Oldbury, Director of Human Resources and Risk Management. I can just give a little explanation about the funds and how they're intended to be used for this purpose, if that would be helpful. So basically in the American Rescue Plan Act, the U.S. Department of Treasury issued an interim final rule for the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery plan, and also the HEROES Act, which was allowed for the use of premium pay for these funds. And employees, in order for them to be eligible, they would have to have performed essential work involving regular in-person interactions and or regular handling of items handled by others, and have been and continue to be relied upon to maintain continuity of operations of essential critical infrastructure. So the premium pay, one thing that's important to understand about this is that the provisions state that entities should prioritize the compensation of lower income workers. So although the legislation didn't specify what they consider to be lower income by a numerical value, they did reference the state's annual wage pursuant to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Occupational Employment and Wage Statistics. So for the state of Florida, that amount is $50,020 annually. And so basically when I configured these charts, I did it based on different tiers per se, based on the pay grade that people were in, and also based on their bargaining unit as well. The other thing is too, is that our SEIU employees, those are our blue collar and white collar employees, they tend to be the lowest income earners. So my just recommendation to you would be, in order to sort of comply with that intent of the legislation, would be to, if you offer any premium pay, to prioritize those workers. And then I can answer any questions you may have or help you to facilitate your discussion in any way you'd like me to.
My comments is, I believe I sent a while back. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Mayor. Sorry, I was looking for you. I'm like...
I would state that I said it was $500. And I believe that, that should be going to everybody. However, according to the guidance that we received for the American Rescue Plan, that additional $500 should be going to people who are making less than a certain amount that the City Commission decides. And whether that's just this year, I believe we can do it this year and next year, because we will receive another over $6 million in May of 2022, and let that administration determine if they want to do the same or more. I believe they still, Julie, are they still allowed to do that as well next year?
Provided funding's available, yes.
Okay, and so that's my concern, is that we don't have to just do it all at once, and so that we can meet some of the union requests for this funds, but not in 1 year, but in 2 years, depending on pay scale.
That is correct.
Okay.
I went offline, so I was going away.
Mayor?
Yes, Vice Mayor.
The This is for the ARP, and my thoughts here is that we were going to do the city employees 2,000. I think fire and police were 1,500, if I'm not mistaken. But they got 1,000 from the state, which is not our concern as far as my thought pattern is. But I was thinking here that, you know, this is to offset the impact of COVID on all of us. And a loaf of bread for the average employee is the same for police and firemen. So I look at the what we do here as far as the city is concerned be equal at this stage. This is not merit. It has nothing to do with that. But I'd say that we do 2,000 to both the employees and the police and fire. I know that would add up to 2,500 for police and fire, but
no,
that was given by the state.
Vice Mayor, so the information that I have is that police and fire have already received $1,000 from the state. The different unions have requested funds. It is our sole discretion as the city commission to distribute funds similar to our last city commission meeting when we decided to give out $500 to city employees who are vaccinated. You know, for me, I think that, you know, the funds that we have this year, knowing that we're going to get another 6 million funds next year, to try to split that amount over 2 years rather than doing it all at once so that we can use some more of the funds for the city. And so that is why I commented to say that I'd like to give it, you know, $500 to everyone, and that an additional $500 to people who make under a certain pay grade, so that most of the city employees would get 1,000. However, certain directors or higher earning individuals who are getting a majority of the pay increase of the 3% would not be getting the additional $500 because they make an amount. I think, you know, the federal rate that they used for the economic surplus or stimulus was 80,000, and you know, that's just a number out there that they determined. You know, I'd be happy to go as high as 90 or 100,000, but anybody who makes over that amount would not be entitled for an additional $500 from the American Rescue Plan, and that the next commission, which you'll be a part of in for the 2022-2023 budget, can also issue the same amount as well, whether it's 500 or 1,000 or even more, because we are still in a pandemic and we may have it's still an ongoing hazard or premium.
Mayor,
yes,
if I may chime in, you know, first let me say I like your idea of doing half now and half later. That's essentially what I heard. Another line of thought that I heard is that because some group got some money already, that maybe they shouldn't get as much as the others. And I'm grappling with that. You know, I understand that argument, but I'm putting myself in their shoes. And, you know, as a teacher, if I were, you know, the topic of tonight, if teachers were the topic of tonight, it's almost tantamount to saying, well, something happened to them that was not within their control, that wasn't a decision made by them, but now they're going to get penalized for getting that money by decision made by another body. So, you know, so I'm putting myself in their shoes, and I think it's not fair to penalize a group based on what the state legislature decided some other time, and of course, you know, so. I think looking at the numbers presented here, I would be in favor of a compromise between the ask that's been provided somewhere in the 2,000 range, So we'll do one this year, one next year. And I think, Vice Mayor Hay, is that what you were saying?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I would be in agreement with
and
that.
Just in comparison to all these other numbers, that is the midpoint of these offers. So that's kind of the track where I'm thinking of. And, you know, the law allows for pay, for so-called premium pay, but really that's hazard pay. People who were working and exposing themselves through the pandemic, elevating their risk. And this is kind of our way of saying, thank you for doing that. You know, thank you for still picking up the garbage. Thank you for picking up all those people in ambulances and fire trucks and police officers who were exposing themselves to residents. This is a no-brainer for me. It is what the law allows. And a compromise of that number, I think, sounds fair. And it makes no sense for me to penalize one group because of what the state legislature did. So those are my thoughts on that. And I'm ready to move forward unless the commission wants to discuss some more.
Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner Katz.
So I think if I'd ascertain what Vice Mayor and Commissioner Pensurga stated, I'd agree with it if this is correct, that it would be what, 2,000 across the board, split into two payments over 2 years?
That's my understanding.
Correct.
Okay, so.
Yes, 1,000 and 1,000 when we get the next draw.
Yes.
So I would support that, and I guess other than, you know, some tangible reasons, just looking at the financial implications, it looks like the split version in chart number 2 under the staff suggestions is 1.3 million, and I think the 2,000 across the board is in the ballpark of 1.5 or 1.6 million. So it's not a dramatic increase in the funding allocation from what would be proposed under scenario 2. So that, in conjunction with the fact that I agree with Commissioner Pensurga about police and fire, if only because you know, everybody who worked had to put up with a degree of this, but they, to this day, you know, they're running calls where they are meeting people who have COVID to take them to the hospital and sit with them while they wait for emergency services in the hospital. So there's a lot of jobs that obviously got worse during COVID. There's a lot of jobs that got better for some people who could do the remote work, but police and fire, to me, were on the front lines and dealing with populations that were more likely to have a lack of healthcare access and therefore be more prone to infection. So I'm factoring that, as Commissioner Pensurga said, as a hazard pay kind of ideology into my position.
Mayor, if I may add one more comment.
Yes.
Well, now I've just lost one of my 2 bullet points in my head. Well, I remember now. Well, here it is. You know, I think, you know, my impression has been SEIU is often forgotten, and I want to make sure now, I think this is a great opportunity to let them know that we are thinking about you, all of the SEIU workers, and you are equally important in this city as everybody else. The other item that I want to mention here is if we look at the sheet that's been provided, you know, we did set aside $500,000 for the acquisition of those properties for the CRA, if you remember the auction. And not all of those funds were used. So it says here with 2 asterisks, waiting for the return of funds. So that money is coming back. And so I think that will help to alleviate and offset some of these numbers. I don't think.
In fact, we won't be using any of it.
Say that one more time.
We will not be using any of our 500,000 at this point because the CRA had the first 500 and the lots went for crazy prices. So I think they bought maybe 1 or 2. So we'll be getting most likely the entirety of the 500 back.
Excellent.
So I went ahead and showed that down at the bottom.
Excellent.
Mayor, we emailed this to you. Did you get it? Mayor, did you?
Is part of the backup?
No, it was. We did this late this afternoon, and I had Mara email it to you so you could pull it up maybe on your phone.
I mean, I have the spreadsheets on this part of the backup in the agenda.
No, this is a chart kind of showing a running tab of what the balance is of our ARP money.
Okay, so
trying to think of a way to get it loaded up.
You know, you can just tell me how much do we got left right now?
right, so I'm just going to take everybody through this. So we received our first tranche, which was $6.82 million in May, and we're going to be getting that money, that same amount next May. Okay, then what we spent out of that so far, we dedicated almost $30,000 towards the housing study that's underway. The tutoring program was $28,000 that we did over the summer before the school started. The wellness program for police and fire for the additional just mental wellness program and expansion of services was $67,000. We did dedicate $500,000 for the CRA for the auction, but that will negate itself because we ended up not spending it. We did the vaccine incentive program with the vaccination event. That's $60,000. We identified for 6 months from March 1 of 20 to September 30 of 20, $1.95 million in revenue loss. We have dedicated $75,000 the commission approved for the funding of the position with P2P for the rental assistance. And then the commission approved a $500 per employee vaccine incentive, which we've identified assuming every single employee did it, which that's not likely. $67,000 for fire, $75,000 police, $400,000 general employee population. Those are estimates assuming, again, every single employee got vaccinated.
Okay.
Then a couple things that are lurking out there that I just wanted to add on here, so we need to think about. One, we have next year's revenue losses that we will be identifying. We just closed out the year September 30. So looking at a full year of losses, this is a guesstimate, but we're estimating about $3 million. I think originally we had identified what we thought was going to be about $6 million over 2 years of losses. So we've factored that in there. You've heard a little bit about, we have not had any discussions at the commission level at all, but the potential of utilizing some ARP funding to close the gap on the Wells Landing project. I've identified $2 million. That's a what if, but it's out there. And we got the lot money back. And then lastly is our premium pay. So if we do the premium pay at 1.6, with all that being said, it leaves about $4.3 million in totality of all of the ARP funding for any other projects that we want to do, like the resource center and some other things. So I wanted you to have that bigger picture so you know, you've got $4 million.
So right, we have over $4 million out of the total 13.6.
Correct.
Okay. And it's that's kind of what the funds are for. The fact is that we can do a lot with that $4 million if we use it wisely. Regarding the Wells Landing project, I saw the dev fee, and so we're definitely going to have that expense be reduced. In addition, whether we can loan the money out where they were intending to repay, that's another aspect of the funds, whether we have to give it out outright or if we can make a loan and get paid, because that's kind of what I think would maybe in the better financial sense rather than to just give the money away.
We are looking into that with the Treasury now, because that was part of a discussion with Centennial, is to perhaps do exactly that and not take the full amount.
And so
we haven't discussed it.
that's more of the CRA city conversation later. I'm happy with what the commission is saying, where we're doing 1,000 now and 1,000 later. And the only comment that I had is for people that are making less than 50,000, if they could get an extra 250, it was something that I would be in favor of.
Excuse me, just for the sake of decorum, if you're in the audience, this is not your time to speak. Thank you.
I do, if someone would like to speak in the audience, please go to the podium to the right, and we'll give you an opportunity.
Mayor.
Yep.
I do want to weigh in on this conversation. I've just been kind of pondering, and I want to make sure I make some points. So in the interest of fairness, we're deciding and we're discussing how to allocate these funds. And in terms of what I've heard from my colleagues, we're putting in consideration individuals who put themselves at risk and who basically had to show up and to be there regardless of what the reality on the ground was. And so with that being said, that is what I feel that these funds should be used for and should be allocated for. And so I feel that individuals who put themselves at higher risk in terms of they had to show up, they had to be physically in a location to do the job that they were hired to do. Otherwise, they would be in violation of their job. I think those individuals should receive a higher payout, whatever we want to call it, hazard pay, premium pay, than those who maybe had the luxury of being able to be safe in their homes, being able to work from home, being able to work behind a computer, and not having to show up somewhere physically. I'm not necessarily saying that I don't agree with what my colleagues have said. The 2,000 across the board, I think if that's the ultimate decision that the board decides to make, I'm fine with that, and I would be able to go along with that. But I still do think that 2,000 number should be reserved for those who, again, were intentionally, because of their job, because of their duties and responsibilities, had to be put in the line of not literal fire, but in the line of COVID. So I'm speaking about our first responders. I'm speaking about our utilities, our individuals who are out on the garbage trucks, those individuals who don't have a choice to show up or not show up to do their jobs. Not that I'm saying that I do not appreciate our staff who had the ability to work from home or work remotely. I appreciate them just as much. But I think this conversation is to thank, as was stated by my colleague, thank those individuals who put themselves in harm's way in order to keep our city running when some of us physically could not. So that would be the only caveat that I would add to this conversation, that there should be a differentiation between those who had to show up to do their job and those who had the luxury to stay behind, to stay at home and protect themselves and others from the pandemic. So if that conversation is something that the commission is interested in having, I'm fine with having that. If not, then I'm fine with just simply taking the number and just kind of spreading it across the board. I would like to add, to address the comment that I feel that is coming by the member that is standing before us now. The conversation that we're having right now, Mr. Wright, is a conversation to provide premium pay for our employees who have worked tirelessly for the last few months and year during this pandemic. It is money that is meant for this expenditure, and we're going to spend it. It does not mean that we've forgotten about District 2. It does not mean that we've forgotten about the issues that are relevant and pertinent to you. So I do feel that there's some discord that's coming from yourself and Corey. But I want to make sure you understand what we're discussing and that it has nothing to do, and it does not mean that we have spent money that would otherwise be able to go towards some of the initiatives that I know that are important to you. So I hope to kind of deflate the anger a little bit, because I feel like it's coming and aimed at us here. And this conversation really is not taking away from anything that I believe matters or is important to you. Just want to make sure I said that first. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to ask the commission if they want to make any final comments before we open it to the public. This is the ARP funds, it's public funds, and so every dollar I feel that we spend on it, the public has a right to make sure that that money is used wisely. And so those are my comments right now, and I do appreciate anybody from the audience that has comments regarding spending the ARP funds. That is why we are having so many different workshops. And yes, the city commission is always city commission meetings is always an opportunity to talk about how the city commission spends government money. Please proceed.
Bishop Bernard Wright, CEO of Bernard Wright Ministries, current candidate for mayor, 713 Northwest 2nd Street. I hear you all. I understand. I've been hearing about the ARP since it come down, since we had these meetings, okay? You all know about Boyne Strong and Bernard Wright Ministry. We've been in the pandemic from the very beginning, feeding in Boynton Beach, taking chances out here on the front line, just like our firefighters and all, and we respect them and we commend them. We commend everyone who has come out. We haven't stopped yet. Putting mileage on my car, gas coming out of my own pocket, to God be the glory, and the others who do help us along the way. We hear in millions and hundreds of thousands, 500,000 that's being allocated, CRA, this, that, and the other for things that they could have been bought this property that the county had for years on end. So what I'm talking about are ineffective, and we're talking about unwise and wasteful spending of money that should be prioritized. We're talking about order. God's a God of order. I got a minister sitting as my commissioner. I'm a minister myself, and we're talking about order. We're talking about where's priority, where's seniority, where you're sending money everywhere. Tutoring programs, I don't know none of them blacks at the Bulldogs, or none of them got. You understand? I sit on the student advisory council, student council in Ponciano. So I don't see where this money, even from now to what you've had, been used relevantly. Nowhere in the heart of Boyne. No excuse justifies anything. I don't care what the issue is about today. Since I've been coming, I ain't heard no issue about nothing, and seen no move forward toward money coming into Boyne Strong, Bernard Wright Ministry, any other entity who have been actually in this pandemic, knowing how serious it is, how upside down the world is, not just Boyne. I mean, seriously, that are taking part and trying to see a change for the better, not knowing what tomorrow really going to bring, because this thing has not dissipated. Instead, increasing. I'm going to make this statement here while I'm here, because I want all you all to get involved in what's going on in Boyne. The Boyne Bulldogs, first off, is about the biggest thing we got here. Now, I can only talk to people. I can't make them listen. I got 300 children out there going out there to practice football, and there's not one device to check if they got a fever. And my child is there. Now, we have president, commissioners, and all in organizations. I'm not dropping no shade. I'm just a concerned parent, and since no one will listen, let's say the city of Boyne will listen. Because we need y'all support financially and otherwise. There should be buses. There should be these children have the best equipment for safety, especially with the concussions they can get in football. Most of the blacks don't think we got nothing going on but football now, because our culture has been decimated. When you took the baseball diamonds from it, which was our culture and the black culture, we're not soccer players, but we play. And anything we play, we expertise in doing it. It's just what it is and what time it is. But what I'm saying is, baby, football is not the only thing, and not crossing us over to soccer. You understand? So with that being said, we have not been prioritized, put in order yet, and concerned about the money been spent on gift cards and things. People over there, we thank God for the harvest. And my friend who called me said, where can I send some food from Whole Food? And I sent it to Boyne Strong over there. And we've been sending that food out. Man, just put us in the equation around the table, not have us last. Just what time that's
Mr. Wright, Bishop Wright, I want to thank you. Yeah, I'm virtual. And, you know, I do understand your comments in saying that the city commission has not really discussed how are we spending the money in the city. We've only talked about the conversation with the city employees. Mostly we talked about it with the school district regarding the enhanced tutoring session. I believe what was it, September 30th, Lori, we had our first workshop. And so hopefully you can give us an update on that workshop at the meeting, our next meeting on October 19th.
What we're doing, Mayor, is having all the 3 workshops. We're pulling all that together for you and bringing that to the November 16 workshop with the commission to talk about all of the input we've received and projects that we think were born out of those meetings. That was the plan.
Okay. You know, if you could give us, you know, put it on the website where we are, so that if something's already said, that people don't need to repeat it. But if something is not said, that it is there. So that way our public feels that their comments are being heard and it's in writing on the city's website. Bishop Wright, is that something that you're in favor for? So we're looking to spend the money before the end of the year. However, we want to get the totality of everyone's needs first. And so we appreciate your comments.
I appreciate it. Just as long as we're around the table and we move forward so we can see progress and we can see where we've been. We know we're in some stewardship of this money. I've been seeing people have stewardship of money.
Thank you.
Decades is born and I don't see no effectiveness yet. So that's what we want. Let us show ourselves.
Lori?
Yes, sir.
Do we have another workshop? I thought we do for specifically the nonprofits.
Yes.
Is that coming up or did that already happen?
No, that has not happened yet. I know we changed the date, and I don't have the dates in front of me, and I don't see John. But yes, in September, we have a second public workshop plus the nonprofit workshop happening in October. Then we'll have the November 16 workshop with the City Commission prior to the commission meeting at 3 o'clock. And what that will be is a culmination of survey results, because we're getting hundreds and hundreds of survey results, emails, communications. I listened to the video. I was out of town, but I watched the YouTube video of our first input session. It was excellent. We had some good, Mr. McNolly, I know you were there too. We had some good input at that meeting. We really hope to have that happen over at Station 3. I'm just so sorry. I'm forgetting the date in my head right now.
Lori. I mean, the point is, there's an opportunity for nonprofits to come on in.
Oh, we're going to have a
and
meeting.
share their ideas because I
dedicated to
see
them.
Boynton Strong in the House and other groups. That's a great opportunity, right? There is
Absolutely.
a way for them to be a part of this and to hear their ideas out. So
Okay, John
they
just
haven't
sent
missed it.
November 1, thank you, because we had to change the date. November 1 is the nonprofit meeting, so we're going to be sending out save the dates. It will be on the website if it isn't already. Thank you, John.
Mayor?
Yes,
Just,
Vice Mayor.
Just to say, if I may, very quickly, I was here at the first open meeting for the public. And there are several people from District 2 who came with great ideas. And David Scott facilitated, and along with Carice Lejeune, facilitated that meeting. And we got great input. So and it must have been, well, it was online as well as face-to-face. And there was good representation from all sections of the city. And I'm looking forward to November 1st, when we go out to the fire station, of having similar type of input from the community.
That's October 28th, Vice Mayor.
October 28th?
Yeah, that'll be
October 20?
October 28 at Fire Station number 3 at Minor and Congress. I believe we're starting at 6 p.m.
Fire Station 3?
Station 3, yes.
Right.
All right, Mr. Wright, if you could move to the side and let the next speaker.
Thank you. And I thank you all.
Boynton Beach, Florida. And it's like,
yes, it's good.
Boynton Beach, Florida, Torior. And like the man said, we hearing all these ideas about the city. Y'all saying we in it. The city community in it. Where is that? Where? Why we got to go to the firehouse and Firehouse 3? Why we can't go to the Carolyn Sims Center and get the community involved? Why? Why we can't know? Now I don't hear nobody saying no meetings to the Carolyn Sims. Everybody want to go to the firehouse. They want to go out west. We want to bring it in the community. The Carolyn Sims Center is still not open to the public, even after y'all did what y'all said. We still don't have assets in there. Still, today. Kids still don't have access to the center. They can't go in there and watch TV, spaced out from each other. They can come to the library. They have to walk away from the library. They have to walk away from Cherry Hill, wade over here to the library, Mr. Woodrow Hayes. Is that fair? You know? And y'all saying y'all had tutors. I just left the Carolyn Sims Center yesterday. The guys in there said we still need tutors for our third graders. Our third graders are failing all over the world, from Galaxy to Poinciana to Forest Park. So where is this money going? To our friends? Because I don't see it. You know? Everybody saying to give money to this person, that money, give it to whoever, you know? But don't forget about the people down there. Because we was right there in the midst of it. I lost both of my jobs during the pandemic. And I still was feeding kids every day. breakfast and lunch. I know I was getting in contact with that stuff, because I believe my immune system's stronger than yours. I don't got to do that. I'm protected by God, you know? And we was right there every day. People had COVID. We still went in the house and gave them their meal because they knew they needed it. How about that? Saying 1,000 and 1,000. What about us? What about the community? Mid-Carolina left sudden here, man, and I don't understand. Mid-Carolina left, she taught me integrity, transparency, and to her, she said, always remember, keep it real. At the end of the night, when you go to sleep, you go to sleep peacefully. When you want to keep it real, she said, you're going to be tossing and turning all night.
Okay, so for the benefit of those who are listening and for those who choose to stay here and listen, let's address some things. First and foremost, I actually like Tori's hair. It looks good today. Secondly, can you please reiterate those dates and those locations? That way it's clear where we're meeting and where the public input meetings are happening.
So our next, and let me say this, these are not the only public outreach meetings we're going to be having. This is money that we have the next 4 years to spend. We have 2 years to decide what to do with it, and then another 2 years to actually physically get it spent. This isn't a decision that's going to be made in 2 meetings and we spend $13 million. So this is a continuing process, and I'm going to repeat that every time, because I know when we have conversations, people feel like this is it, and I'm not going to be able to be part of a decision. So we've had the one outreach last week. We will have October 28 at 6 p.m. We're going to do an outreach out in the Western community that was specifically requested. So we have one so far east, one west. That's October 28 at Station 3 at 6 p.m. Then we thought it would be a good idea to also reach out to all of our nonprofit community in Boynton, because there's a lot. They're the ones that have the boots on the ground. They know what the issues are. They know what people need. So we are going to have a nonprofit stakeholder meeting on November 1st in this room at 6 p.m. Then we're going to take those 3 meetings.
Lori, stop for a second, please. The one that happened on September 30th, where did it happen?
In here.
Happened here. Okay.
6 p.m.
Uh-huh.
And then the next one,
Fire Station 3.
Station 3.
Okay.
And all this is on our website, on our ARPA page.
Yep, 1028. And then 11.
And then November 1 will be nonprofit.
Here.
And
Okay.
then we're going to take the culmination of all of that information and what we've been able to research and bring and have a workshop discussion with the commission on the 16th and get some direction on some projects, Bulldogs, Jessica's programs, all that stuff. We're going to pull it all together and put some numbers to it and provide some guidance on where we think the remainder of our, not the remainder of the funding that's out there, we can identify projects. And I want to get priorities from the commission. What do you want us to work on first? Obviously, we won't be able to do it all in 6 months. Do we want to do the resource center? That's a big discussion. That'll take 1.5 years to get complete. Things like that. So this is conversations we're going to have continually, literally over the next 1.5 to 2 years. So please, as the public is out there, don't, but I provided that list tonight because I want us to keep track of where the money has gone and what's floating out there. And we're going to have to make some decisions. Do you want to put $2 million towards Centennial? You may not. And I know that's been a discussion. So we want to keep the balance in mind at all times, and then we move from there. So we'll get some priorities from you on the 16th, and we'll be coming back again at the beginning of next year, easy, and doing more outreach as we learn more what other cities are doing, what we hear from this, nonprofits and so forth. So it isn't a one-shot deal. That's what I can't impart that enough to the community.
Lori?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a beautiful facility in District 2, which is our Intercoastal Park. Why don't we have the November 1st meeting there?
We can do that since we're changing the date. I know one of the reasons we wanted to do it in here, be able to do the virtual. Thank you.
Right.
I was always saying, let's get out of this room and go somewhere more comfortable. But being able to offer the virtual option as well as the in-person, the infrastructure's here. And I think actually for the nonprofits, Commissioner Romulus, it might be, I know there are several that indicated they cannot come in person, that they'll want to be able to, so that's why we're doing it here. is to be able to
Understood.
record.
Understood.
Yeah.
What allows for the Fire Station 3 one to happen there, though?
I don't know. I have to, John, I know David, John, you guys are on. Are we doing,
I'm
is it
here.
supposed
Yeah,
to
I'm
be
here.
some sort of more virtual there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm virtual. David Scott, Director of Economic Development and Strategy for the City of Boynton Beach. Lori is absolutely correct and in the meeting dates and the times. Commissioner Romulus, we had considered places like the IPC, but we wanted to make sure we got maximum opportunity, provided maximum opportunity for participation. That's why the first public meeting was located at the Commission Chambers to allow for in-person and virtual. The second meeting, as Lori mentioned, we wanted to make sure we had one out west. We looked at places that would allow both in-person and virtual. We considered the community room at the police station, but we also felt there were certain segments of the community that may not be comfortable at the police station. So Fire Station 3 provided an opportunity to have an in-person meeting out west. When it came to the nonprofits,
No.
I don't think it's hybrid then. That's right.
no,
So
no,
Station
no.
3
Fire
okay.
Station 3 is not
In person only.
That's in person only, then back here nonprofit will be hybrid. And that was a specific request of Commissioner Katz to go out west. And that's the only reason we're really pushing it out there and going, not being able to do the hybrid, but we want to go ahead and hold it out there and just it'll be in person. But we can move them around. We just won't have the virtual option.
Lori, if I may, is it really difficult to make, bring some cameras and a TV screen and a computer? Is it that?
I'm not the one to ask, but as I understand, yes, the entirety of the infrastructure.
Camera. I mean, I suppose at minimum 1 or 2 cameras, something
It's
like
that
that.
whole room back there of equipment that allows us to do the GoToWebinar platform and the whole thing. I really am not one to speak to it, but I understand it's
Yeah, the
just
quality
about
of the quality of the audio and the video it's got to be calibrated. We have a consultant that runs these meetings for us, so it's not a simple setup. I wish it was. When I first delved into this, I thought it was simple, and I've asked those questions over and over, and it's not as simple as it seems.
Now we can record it, and then like I did, I watched it the next morning. I didn't participate in it, but I watched the entire meeting and listened to everything that was recorded. And then you could reach out to us and do, we'll do that. That we can do. But yes, it's not easy.
Okay, so I think I'm fine with the location being here for the November 1st meeting, especially that it is virtual as well, for those who may not be able to attend in person. So I'll let that point go. The other thing to address though is what is going on with the Carolyn Sims building and why is it still unusable by the public, or as Tori asserted?
I don't think that's a correct statement, but Catherine,
No, it's fully open.
Yeah.
It's not closed at all. It's open Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Staff's there.
there is nothing, we have no specific, it's open programming. We don't do after school care specific help, aftercare programs any longer. So we have open play. We have programs scheduled all through the evening. There's no reason that anything should be restricted unless something's being constructed. But I know Tori said that on several occasions. It's not the case.
All right, so can a member of staff please reach out to Tori when he decides to calm down and have a conversation about why he keeps saying that building is not open?
Yes.
Because he said this multiple times, and I am not comfortable with the feeling that for whatever reason, people in the community think that our public buildings are not open or available to them. So something somewhere, some misunderstanding needs to be addressed. So let's figure
Agreed.
that out.
Yes, ma'am.
But thank you all.
All right. Is there anyone else from the audience that would like to speak on this item?
Yes, you do have one.
Okay.
Ernest McNally, 710 Northeast 7th Street, Boynton Beach. I've been here a few times about this allotment of funds and expressed a lot of different opinions. I personally, I think the people who are suffering the most during this COVID are not in this building, and don't work for the city, and are 80,000 people that live in Boynton Beach, probably 60,000 of which have never been in this building, don't really like public appearances, are not represented, and just because they don't work for the city, how could anyone imagine that every day they get up trying to raise kids, some without a job, and that we would suggest that employed people that work for the city have gone through the greatest challenges in the city. In a city with 18,000 families in poverty, and we're trying to decide if someone who works for the city who makes over $100,000 should get 500 or 1,000 or 2,000. And then you're talking about money that's available, and you're saying, well, there's $13 million available, and we'll spend it over the next. You should spend it right now. There's people dying and hungry and problems with their homes and can't get their kids to school. And the kids are sick and they're sick and they're heroes. I don't get it. I don't see how a public employee is any more challenged or in jeopardy than all these unknown people who don't get to come here. I think all the money should go to them. I think anybody who's working in this city shouldn't get any of this money. That's my opinion, and I'm a homeowner and resident here, and that's where I think the money should go. And I can't believe I hear things like, well, we have 4 years to spend it. You should be spending it right now. You know, it's like for a little kid to be hungry, and you're going to wait 4 years to start allotting that money. And a lot of your employees don't even live in Boynton Beach. That's what doesn't make sense about all this. And you shouldn't be holding things in police departments and fire departments. And by the way, Zoom will set up anywhere. You get a public building or a building anywhere, Zoom can come in, you pay them, and they put the whole meeting on Zoom. That's not a problem. You make it sound like you have to do it. No, Zoom does it for you. Or a newspaper can do it for you. Put the whole meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Well, let's, John, is there anyone online that has raised their hands or would like to ask a question?
Mayor Grant, I do not see any hands raised or questions posed at this current time.
All right. So we've had discussions so far. You know, the question is that I believe we have a consensus regarding the $2,000. You know, do we want to make it for all employees that amount? Do we want to make it for employees that don't make a certain amount to receive more? And those are the only questions that I have before we move forward with the motion.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'm fine with across the board just because then we would get into creating subunits and potentially subunits within bargaining units. And I think it's cleaner to do it the way that has been discussed tonight, I think.
All right. Yeah. And so if that's the case, Commissioner Katz, would you like to make the motion?
So moved relative to the premium pay per employee, 1,000 per year for the next 2 years, pending, I guess, collective bargaining and such.
A lot of part-time employees. You might want to give.
Yes. I would second it and say, yes, we include all employees, part-time, full-time, all the time, all of them. If we're going to do it, do it across the board.
All right, thank you.
Cost of a loaf of bread is the same for all.
Yep. No, it's for me, it's kind of with the library. They had to put certain items in quarantine because everybody was concerned about the pandemic. So it's something that, all city employees are essential. Is that correct, Julie?
Yes, sir.
And so that's kind of where we're drawing the line, that all these city employees are essential, and we have the ability to do this, and this is what we're doing.
I'll second Commissioner Katz's motion.
All right. And seeing no further discussion, all those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Our next item is 11A, consider a request from the Palm Beach County Human Rights Council regarding resolution and placement of a plaque at the Pride intersection. Andrew, is this the city's policy?
No, sir. This is when we're talking about street signs. There's a defined.
And so with this being a plaque, does that go under the Historic Resources Preservation Board?
It doesn't need to. It depends if it's a dedication plaque. That's just something staff can do, or the commission, we can find an appropriate location and dedicate the intersection.
Well,
Mayor.
I'm just trying to make sure that this is the appropriate way that this is happening.
Jim's on the line. Jim, if it were a dedication plaque, isn't it okay for the commission to make that decision? There's no code per se.
There's no advisory board that has to review it.
There's no advisory board that needs to review it. It's a policy decision by the city commission.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Why are we considering putting a monument or whatever this is? If it's faded or scarred up, we just repaint it. Why are we going this route?
We started on this route with making a Pride intersection, and this is the continuation of doing that as we are. We can, and we'll hear from the applicant, and we'll go from there.
Mayor, I know the applicant's going to speak, but I just want to answer the question that Vice Mayor Hay presented. The purpose, there's many reasons for putting a plaque, but one of them is to make it clear to the public who we're dedicating it to, and so it's about memorializing that person, which is Alan Hendricks, and the contributions is made to the city. And so, we want to make sure the public's aware of that. That's one of the reasons, but I'll let the applicant elaborate further.
Good evening. May I be recognized?
Yes, please, you're recognized.
Thank you. My name is Gemma Torsivia. I am a member of the Palm Beach County Human Rights Council, which is PBC HRC Board of Directors. I'm also a local attorney and, ironically, a Boynton native. I was born here in Bethesda many moons ago. So I'm very honored to be before you tonight, and I appreciate your consideration of our request. I'm a local attorney as well, and so I have been working on behalf of the board with respect to the Pride intersection in Delray Beach, which was defaced during a rally by a vehicle. And the state attorney was unable to utilize the Combating Public Disorder Act, which was codified in Florida statutes in 2021, because it had not been dedicated with a memorial. And so the language of the Combating Public Disorder Act is very specific, that in order to utilize that act to appropriately prosecute someone who defaces or damages a memorial or historic property, it has to be designated as memorial or historic property. And so what we've done as a board is we have developed a resolution that has been approved by the state attorney's office as appropriately creating a memorial for the intersection. So if down the road, and hopefully this never happens, something happens and there is a willful and malicious defacement injury or damage that occurs to the intersection or to the memorial plaque.
A hate crime.
Correct, a hate crime. That appropriate action can be taken by the state attorney. So essentially giving him the ability to use the full range of tools, that we believe the legislature intended him to have. And so we are asking this commission to consider adopting this resolution, which has been provided as part of your agenda packets, which contains the appropriate language to dedicate the intersection. It also does make notice of a local resident, and the language on the plaque itself is also suggested in the resolution to conform with that statute, which is, I'm happy to read it to you. It's on page 2 of this resolution. So the memorial would read, Boynton Beach Memorial LGBTQ Pride Intersection. And then there would be language which says, recounting and honoring the public service of Alan Hendricks, the Boynton Beach City Commission dedicates the permanent Boynton Beach Memorial LGBTQ Pride Intersection to a series of votes taken since 2014, providing equal rights, benefits, and protections to the LGBTQ community, June 5th, 2021. And so, that's the summation of this request. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, but we certainly are very grateful for your support and very excited to have this opportunity to create another tool for the state attorney to use to prosecute a potential, and hopefully that never occurs, hate crime.
My concern, based upon what you stated regarding a memorial, is that this goes in front of the Historic Resources Preservation Advisory Board for a public discussion, because that's what they're there for, to make these types of recommendations to us as a city commission. And that's kind of where I'm at. I don't feel comfortable making a decision without their recommendation.
Mayor?
Yes.
If I may. This body has already approved the Pride intersection. And so normally I would agree with you in that, having input from the advisory board would be helpful. But in this instance, it seems redundant to me. It's already something that, we've approved, the Pride intersection. If I recall, it was a unanimous decision. And so it seems like this should be an easy and straightforward addition to provide legal protections should a hate crime occur, so we can actually prosecute the individual or individuals that, if that were to happen, that commit this hate crime. So.
Mayor?
Yes,
just
Mayor.
Some further questions. Is this a memorial or a plaque, or what does it look like? What are we talking about?
It's something that our Historic Resource Preservation Board votes on. They recently did it. I looked at their agenda. They're doing one regarding the Rosenwald School. And so this is something that I feel we are sidestepping our city advisory boards. In addition, I thought we have a progressive flag, not a pride flag. And so I want to make sure that we have the correct language. Is it LGBTQ, LGBT, LGBTQIA? There's a lot of things that I feel that we need to have the discussion and of the residents to make the decision, not just the Palm Beach County Human Rights Council, and that they present to them first so that we get a recommendation before we move forward.
The other question that I have, are we the first in this particular area? I don't know whether the city manager knows that or not, but I'm not objecting strongly to it. As the mayor just stated, I want to make sure that we cover all our bases and follow our own procedures and that we've established. But I'm just wondering, because of what we just had come before us with one of our parks in the city, as far as monuments and all these kinds of things, we need to move forward carefully. And that's all I'm saying, okay? I want to make sure that we have all of our bases covered. So I don't want to make a decision too fast here, and I don't think the time that I'm talking about is that big of a deal. It won't be like 2 years from now, nothing like that. All I'm saying is let's just move with caution, because I don't want that situation to raise its ugly head again. So.
Mayor, may I just jump in 1 second, please? I just want to point out that the item on the agenda is a request. It does have a form resolution attached to it, but the resolution is not on the City Commission agenda tonight for a vote. That would have to come back at the next meeting once the City Commission sets policy decision on it.
Correct. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that when the city makes the decision, we have a recommendation for a memorial or a plaque that goes through the city's Historic Resources Preservation Board, because that's what they do. They normally get these requests first. As I mentioned, the previous board meeting, they were discussing the plaque for the Rosenwald School. So this is something that, correct, if we wanted to, we could. However, it's sidestepping some of our advisory board's ability to make recommendations to us. And I feel that we as the commission appointed them for that authority, and that we give them that authority.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have no problem with your recommendation. I think for the vice mayor, if it took more than 60 or 90 days, I'd be shocked, because it is a finite item. And to your point that the intersection honors a wider base of populations than the resolution as it's currently worded. So I would want to make sure we get it right if we were to get a recommendation to move forward as a board. So I don't object to it. I guess a question to our attorney, because I paid attention and read, the incident in Delray and the state's attorney's comments, is, and I've heard this offered, that, had it been a designated monument. So to our attorney, is that, I guess it's a subjective question, but does that make it more likely that a prosecution would take place? I guess that's purely subject to the will of a state's attorney.
Yeah, I can't answer that, Commissioner. The process that the state attorney makes in determining whether to prosecute or not has many, many factors associated with it. So I don't think any single factor is dispositive.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. And I guess, again, I'll be in support of this if it moves through the proper channels. I think I like the idea that it honors a local resident who's part of the community that the intersection honors. It's just sad that this is a step that needs to be taken, because people are willing to deface property in the name of discrimination. And legally speaking, we've got to call it a memorial or put a plaque to ensure that the legal system holds them accountable. Just some opining and commentary that's sad that is a reason for this, but it is a valid reason.
Mayor?
Yes, Commissioner Pensurga.
It wasn't too long ago that this body considered the monuments policy and whether or not to move forward with it. That monuments policy was defeated. We did not move forward with it by this board. And in that monuments policy, it laid out a process for these types of things to be addressed. And my understanding was, that process was too cumbersome. It was too long and all the other reasons, and that things go directly to the commission for consideration. That was my understanding. And so now we have an applicant that's coming directly to the commission. And so now I'm just personally confused as to where we stand. I thought that's what the process was, to come directly to the commission.
You're absolutely correct, Commissioner Pensurga. We're not saying no. We're just saying we want to make sure the Historic Resources Preservation Board, because this is what it will become, a historic resource, because you can't destroy historic resources without penalties. If it was, if the Oyer building was a historic resource, we wouldn't be able to tear it down. And so that's something that I want to make clear, is that this is something that will affect the future of the city. And so that's why we have the different advisory boards. For example, our planning and zoning board reviews all different site plans because of the future effect of the city. And that's kind of where I appreciate them coming forward. I think the city staff did the proper protocols of letting us review and see of the resolution that was proposed to see if we want to make any changes. And it is well within our authority to go to an advisory board. Let's say, for example, they wanted to have a monument at a parks facility. I would suggest we would send it to the Parks and Recreation Board, not the Historic Resources Preservation Board, or we actually can send it to both and get both a recommendation. So this is something that we appreciate our volunteers, and we want to not minimize their contribution by overstepping them.
Mayor, respectfully, if I may, and again, I am not a member of your staff, but my understanding was that the Historic Research Preservation Board recommends properties for historic designation, advises on historic preservation matters, and acts upon applications. To be very clear, the distinction is that this is not a request for historic designation. This is a request for a memorial.
Excuse me, but as an attorney, a memorial is a forever thing. Is that creates a historic designation? So correct, it's not a historic designation as of now, but it will be of a historic designation once a memorial is there.
We are happy to follow whatever process you would like us to.
Thank you.
To answer the Vice Mayor's earlier question, you're certainly not the first city that we've been working with to try to move this forward. Obviously, other cities in the county have been pioneers in protecting LGBTQ rights and have created similar intersections. We're certainly working with them to pass similar resolutions to provide the state attorney the ability to prosecute these crimes that unfortunately occur. And so, you know, this really is just to provide those teeth so the state attorney can do his job and effectively prosecute criminals. But, you know, we're happy to do whatever it is you'd like us to do. Although to be fair, we did think this was the process. We certainly were not trying to subvert your process.
You're absolutely correct. This is the process. And so we have the ability to make sure that we have another public meeting as part of getting citizen input before we make a decision. So this is something that, as I mentioned earlier, is within our authority, because when we approve a resolution, we're creating a memorial or a historic designation. That's my mentality, and I appreciate you from coming forward. I'm sorry if staff thought that this was going to be the only meeting that you had to attend, but we have these different advisory boards to help us make the best decision on behalf of the city.
Mayor?
Yes.
And one last statement from me. I appreciate that. But I think you would agree that each city is unique and autonomous. And in the long run, this is for your protection. Okay? And so if we have to go an extra meeting, you know, that's our right. That's the way we feel better about this project. Okay?
Oh, of course, Vice Mayor.
And Gemma, thank you for coming here. I appreciate you moving forward with this. I don't know if you were there for the designation of the progressive intersection.
Unfortunately, no, I was not.
Yeah, so it's something that my family and I are very proud about, and I'm very excited to see this move forward. And so hopefully you didn't understand my comments of saying no today does not mean that I will say no in the future.
Very good,
I'm most
Mayor.
likely to say yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, moving on to legal. Authorize the city manager to co-sign a U.S. Army Corps of Engineers application for permit for Hampshire Gardens to construct a replacement seawall.
Good evening,
May I have a
Mayor.
motion to approve?
To approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Is there any, does the commission want a further discussion? Hearing none.
I think Andrew was going to say something. No? Okay.
Andrew?
Just to mention, the president of the HOA is here if you'd like to speak to him.
Oh,
Sure.
Or Con, right? Sorry.
How you doing, Mayor and Commissioners? My name is Bill O'Connell, President of Hampshire Gardens Incorporated, 2500 South Federal Highway, Boynton Beach. I think everybody has what we were requesting. Our property's been, we have a seawall that's over 50 or 60 years old, and we're just looking to protect our property. Our property joins J.C. Park, and we share a common border there. So we are willing to foot the bill to return the seawall along the property line, which part of the property sits on J.C. Park's property. So we are going to return that seawall on that property with the agreement that we will provide an easement. We'll have our attorney prepare an easement agreement, which the city requested that we do prior to receiving any construction permits. We will take care of that. This process is just to get the permit application going with the Army Corps of Engineers and the DEP to see if they'll approve our plan as sketched out by our engineers. So
Right.
I appreciate it.
So is the engineer plan part of the backup, Andrew?
Yes, sir. It's an exhibit.
Okay. My big concern is after speaking with Stocking Savvy is trying to create a living wall or a living seawall and associated with this so that it's not just the water against the metal or brick, but that there are freshwater landscape associated with it. And is that something that is considered?
I believe that there was, I guess we'll call it in the terms of the engineers, a riprap seawall solution that we may be able to put in rather than a concrete seawall. The problem is that when we get the king tides there, where our property abuts J.C. Park, the water comes through the park up and around and floods out our parking lot. So, and all of our asphalt is now collapsing and settling towards the intercoastal. So we're trying to prevent the seepage of our soil from the south end of our property going back out into the intercoastal. So we would have no problem with that. That would actually be a lot less inexpensive for us to do if we could do some sort of riprap rock foundation, living seawall kind of construction. But I don't know how feasible it would be to do that and solve the problem that we're having. So I think the plan would be, even if they do the wall, they will still have some concrete stones or some kind of living seawall formation in front of that wall to maybe help give it a better appearance from the park side. But to be honest with you, I don't think anybody's ever going to see it because you'd have to almost be in the water to look back and see it. Only a boater going by would probably be able to get the benefit of that.
No, it's not meant for the view. It's meant for the wildlife.
Yeah, as far as, well, again, yeah, as far as I understand, we're not going to touch, I mean, there is some mangroves and stuff. They're not even going to go anywhere near any of that. It's going to be in a clear span of what is just grass right now. But I will definitely talk to the engineers to see if there's anything they can do to improve the design. We don't even know if the DEP and Army Corps is going to approve what we're submitting. The first step in this process is just to make the submission, and we both have to sign the application since it's going on 2 properties.
Question.
Thank you.
What's the general lifespan of a seawall of this type?
From what I've been told, 50 years is, if you can get 50 years out of a concrete seawall. We're in a high wake zone there. It's really 30, 35 years. This seawall has seen 50 to 60, and we're not even going to monkey around with trying to repair it. We want to protect our property, and we want to do it the proper way. We don't want to, this is going to cost us well over $1 million, which we already funded the project. And we don't want to do it and not return it on the south end and leave our property open to these king tides and a potential hurricane storm surge that will wipe out some of the units in our complex.
Okay.
So if we're going to do it, we want to do it right. And, we feel it's a benefit for both the parks and neighboring property. We feel it's going to help both of us.
I was thinking we would be at a higher risk because we're in hurricane area or something, but that has nothing to do with it.
Yeah. Fortunately, we've been okay. Knock on wood. We haven't had any tremendous situations there, but we are experiencing severe flooding at King Tides. That's why we have to get this done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Any other questions? Thank you.
All right. We have a first and a second. Seeing no further discussion. All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously. Our last item is regarding a closed door session.
Thank you, Mayor. Pursuant to Section 286.011 subsection 8 Florida statutes, the city attorney is requesting a private attorney-client session of the commission to discuss pending litigation. The case style is Latasha Clemens versus the city of Boynton Beach. The case number is 2021 CA 004638. In attendance at the meeting would be the city attorney, James Sharoff, assistant city attorney, Gal Batash, city manager, Lori Laveria, a court reporter, the mayor, and the commission. We are requesting 45 minutes for this closed door session. And of course, if you approve the closed door session, we would need to set the date and time today.
So is everyone looking for before the CRA meeting, or do you need more time?
1 week or two.
Whatever is convenient for you.
I'd like to do it before the CRA, because looking at our future agenda, it looks like October 19th might take a while.
Okay, so we can do it before the CRA meeting.
And if we could start at 4:30, that way we may have the extra 15 minutes before the CRA meeting.
I support that.
October 19th?
No, October the 12th.
Okay.
October 12th at 4:30 p.m. here in Commission Chambers is where we'll open the meeting.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right. And that is it. I did mention regarding the JKM litigation, but if you feel that we'll have a better conversation on the 19th, we'll have it then. And seeing nothing else, does anyone want to put anything on future agenda or have any comments? Hearing none. John, can you provide a closing?
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Mayor Grant. As a reminder, a recorded version of this session will be posted to the City of Boynton Beach's YouTube channel. Links to that channel are available on the City of Boynton Beach's website at boynton-beach.org. This concludes today's meeting. On behalf of Mayor Grant and all of our elected officials, the city manager and city staff, thank you for attending today's City of Boynton Beach Commission meeting. Be safe and have a great evening.
All right, thank you. Meeting adjourned. Look forward to seeing you guys next week.